Yeah, might as well.
Alright. And hope and pray that this actually started. Okay, cool.
Let's hope so.
Alrighty. Damn, that was weird. Okay. Well, welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Memestiff. I am joined by BlueWolf and RDZ, and today we will be going over the last 6 presidents that we have not gone over yet. That would be Ronald Reagan, George H.W., Bill Clinton, W., Barack Hussein Obama, and Orange Man. Alright? So just a quick recap on what we've gotten so far. I'll just scroll down the list. If you want to see parts 1 and 2, I will have those linked in the description. Cool.
Maybe not part 1.
Yeah, part 1 is more like
Fair.
part like 0.5.
Yeah.
I was so pissed actually when I saw that. I watched it back, fucking killed my mood. I was like, God damn, because we had so many good conversations in that one, and then
We did,
watch
yeah.
it back. Like, pain.
That's so annoying. You can at least you can see the rankings yet, but still, it's annoying.
But it'd be good to like hear the reasoning for them, though. I feel like, especially when the YouTube warriors come into the chat and fucking
yeah.
Excuse me, why is Benjamin Harrison ranked in a D tier?
It's like,
actually, Buchanan did a lot. No.
Actually, Buchanan did a lot for this country. He was just in a really bad situation.
it's like,
Honestly, I kind of want to see something like that happen.
I want to see the James Buchanan apologist.
Oh my gosh!
James
if I saw
Buchanan
that, I don't
defender.
even know. I don't even know how I'd respond to that. To be
No,
honest.
I would honestly not be mad at them because they'll be like, you're fighting for a cause that has long ago been lost. I respect it.
Like modern day Confederates.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Indiana Jones with the
exactly.
Templar in like the tomb with all the cups and stuff, and he's just been there for like 1,000 years. He's just been chilling. And then when Indiana Jones shows up, he's like, "Guess I'll die then. My purpose has been obtained."
My time has come.
Okay.
I love for a while just like avoiding Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I know. No, because we know that we're gonna start talking about. I'm getting fucking pissed. So.
Yeah.
Some people are probably gonna get pissed, yeah.
Yeah, start getting riled up, all fucking mauled. Oh god.
Oh man.
All right.
Yeah. What a one to start out on.
Oh god. Yeah, that's the reason I left off on him at the end of the last stream, because I knew this would be a spicy start. Same with Woodrow Wilson.
Of course, yeah.
It's like just start off spicy,
Yep.
right? All right. Well,
Might as well.
the president we will be talking about first is, of course, Ronald Reagan. So, what do you guys think about Ronald Reagan?
That man, not enough words to say.
Yeah, he's I almost want to say he's a meme, but he's not like funny enough to be.
He's not funny, yeah. Like he's kind of scary when you think about him.
All I can think of, like, when I think of him is like, hey, liberals, triples national debt, or like, press X to send cocaine to inner cities, or like, that's all I can think of anytime.
All I can say is, it don't go down.
It don't go down.
No, Reagan, no, Ronald
Reaganomics, it don't go down.
It don't go down.
It don't. Yeah, yeah.
Ronald Reagan is it's that one video of where the two guys are in the boat and they're about to like go over the waterfall.
Yeah.
Reagan, it do go down. It don't go down. It do go down.
It do go down.
All right. So we made a little hint to trickle down economics, which I don't think anyone here is very. I don't think anyone here really likes trickle down economics. I don't know why people still propose trickle down economics, because I don't think it works. From experience, it doesn't seem to.
Look at like the 50s and 60s when they were actually taxing the rich a lot more.
But the idea that this money's just gonna, from the big businesses, is just gonna somehow trickle down to the 80-90% of normal
Common
people,
person.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Eddie
that's
would be
wishful
shaking
thinking.
in his boots.
Exactly. Like at the start when it was first introduced, it's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll give it a shot. That might work. And then like
Triples
years
national
and years
debt.
of it happening, and yeah, years and years of it happening, and then it just never worked. And they're like, you know what? Let's just keep trying, because why not?
Well, there's still some, like the 2020 presidential race, there are still some Democrats and Republicans that I heard would talk about trickle-down economics. I was like, oh, God.
God.
Yeah.
Fucking boomers.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
stop.
I guess it makes a lot of sense for people like that.
Well,
Because,
trickle-down
like,
economics works for, like, the top, like, 10% of
It does,
people
yeah.
who make a
Yeah.
good income. It doesn't work.
Or
and I
that.
mean, especially
Because trickle-down
when you have
economics
the
trickles
government
down
actually
to rich
benefiting
people.
from it. Yeah. Like at this point, when you have like rich people lobbying and like huge corporations that are lobbying for these people, it makes sense why they keep trying to introduce it, because in turn, it gives the people in government more money.
Exactly.
Just, yeah,
There's a great meme
Yeah.
I
makes
saw
a lot
about
of sense,
Reagan.
but it sucks.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there's a great meme about Reagan I saw before starting the stream. It was like Ronald Reagan in hell waiting for heaven to trickle down to him.
Oh no, yeah. No, I've seen these memes.
Yeah.
It was like POV of my mom sleeping, thinking that heaven got a new angel, and then it's just go pans to me in hell looking for Ronald Reagan.
Oh, God.
I've seen so many things of that where it's like, it's like a edit of the Doom guy or whatever, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
me
talking
in
about.
hell
The
looking
doom
for
music.
Ronald. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the doom
Oh, I
music.
love those so much.
Oh, God. All right, so a quick rundown on Ronald Reagan's policies. Of course, we talked about trickle-down economics. So the first thing I have listed here is DARE. Do you guys remember DARE? Do you guys remember the lion?
I do, yeah.
Oh, God. I remember we had, like, a dumpster outside my elementary school with the fucking DARE lion on it. I think it was either a
That's
recycling
awesome.
bin, some, like, recycling bin, or some, like,
Yeah.
just something to dispose of stuff. But I didn't understand what it meant at the time. I didn't understand what this, like, lion was doing on a random dumpster. It's like, is this the new waste management logo?
That's awesome.
It should be, honestly. I petitioned for that. Of course, the DARE also associates with the war on drugs. War on drugs was really a Nixon idea. Reagan, though, is the one that really pushes this idea to 100. War on drugs. Of course, looking in 2021 vision, it has gone very poorly. And the fact that no one at the time thought it would have not gone poorly is pretty baffling.
It is, yeah.
Because
Massive
nowadays we
oversight.
suffer the aftershocks of locking up non-violent drug offenders, for like 30 years in prison. Because we can't.
Yes.
What's the vice president's name again? Our current one?
Bad.
The lady person. I don't know her name.
Oh, you're talking about the first lady? Oh,
No, our current vice president.
Oh, God.
Oh, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
Oh, God. I don't even want to go into
Kamala
that. 'Cause
Harris
she's like super like war on drugs. Fucking
Yeah.
Very much so.
tyrannical.
Kamala Harris when she
fucking
sees a man with 1/10 of
oh my
a bag of
God,
weed.
she's horrific.
Woke.
Yeah.
And the thing I hate about too is she's like the worst. She's like one of the worst people to represent people of color, or being like the first person of color in that office. It's like, oh my God, like you could have picked like Cory Booker or someone. Come on now, like
Yeah, seriously.
you literally picked the person that locks up other black people in prison for non-violent drug offenses. Like, oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so back
More
to
on
Reagan,
that
of
to come.
course. We'll get back to the more modern stuff in a minute, anyways.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan, he also helped make the Star Wars program. The idea that the U.S. would have a satellite intercept system to intercept intercontinental ballistic missiles. That never went anywhere.
That sounds kind of sick.
No, it sounds sick on paper
Yeah,
until you realize
honestly-
that your taxpayer dollars were going into this fucking madman project.
Oh man.
I don't know why it made me think of the Javelin weapon. it's like a satellite that shoots down missiles, and it just reminds me of like the ongoing thing about like that one politician said something about a Jewish space laser.
Oh God.
Oh God, yeah.
So Robert in
Oh
chat
no.
asked about gun laws in Reagan. I think Reagan might have added gun laws. I'm not too familiar with that. I know Bill
Not
Republican.
Clinton.
entirely sure
I know Bill
either.
Clinton did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's through 81 to 89. Yeah, that's when they passed the
Um,
assault weapon ban.
was that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, that's what's so
Something like
funny. You know those Second Amendment people. Fucking Reagan fucked them over, and they still like worship him. Isn't that so funny? It's like,
Nice.
Reagan also called the Soviet Union also called the Soviets the evil empire. Big Star Wars fan, I guess.
I guess so.
Told Gorbachev to tear down the wall. Okay, that's fine.
Tear down the wall.
Iran-Contra affair, basically funding rebels and to overthrow governments because
Of course.
that's really
Colombian
good.
rebels or South American, Central
yes.
American rebel groups.
really solid.
Yep.
So
Yes, squad.
before we continue with more of his policies, we maybe should talk about his background a little bit. He was raised poor. There's actually, I think when he was a teenager, he worked as a lifeguard, so imagine having this fucking devil save you. I guess he wasn't a devil at that
Nice.
time. But
Yeah.
I guess not. Yeah.
imagine drowning and then Ronald Reagan fucking, like, picks you up out of the water. And then you're like, and then you
Yeah.
stick your head back down. I'm sorry, no, I don't feel like it.
You see him running towards you, and you're like, on second thought, I'll just continue drowning. Thanks.
You like purposely like drown.
Nah, you just like wait until he jumps in to save you, and then
You
just
push
pull
him
down.
under,
Yeah, just push him under.
drag him down with you.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, we should clarify that we do not support the assassination of Reagan.
Nation of presidents, yes.
Yeah,
We do
that's
not
correct.
the assassination of presidents.
Tis a joke. Before our YouTube comments get insane.
Chill, FBI, chill.
Mhm.
Here we go. Of course, he ended up becoming a Hollywood star. He's really, I wouldn't say he's our first celebrity president, but he's definitely our first Hollywood president.
Yeah,
I'd say
Trump
I'd
is
say
probably the
JFK,
second
but,
one that comes to
I think
mind.
JFK
so, yeah.
is our first famous one, I guess. Like,
I would actually say
popular.
Teddy Roosevelt was our celebrity president.
I mean, oh yeah, that man was a Chad, just
so,
straight up.
yeah.
Celebrity. Anyways,
Mhm.
Reagan was known for being a people pleaser, a great communicator. That is something I do give credit on. He is very charismatic and outgoing,
Yeah.
which I can
No,
see
he
why
kinda-
people voted for him. Because if you ignore his policies and you look at him as just as a person, you could probably think he would be very likable and affable.
Whispered
Yeah.
sweet nothings into the ears of the people.
He was the oldest. He was
Yes.
the oldest president in office, elected into office before Joe Biden existed.
Oh, God.
So I think when he was inaugurated, I think he was like 71 or something. Absolutely absurd. So he would just
That
be-
was old.
yeah. Maybe we should think about stopping this trend of these old ass presidents, but old
Honestly.
senile
Yeah.
men that don't know what they're doing.
You would
but-
think. Yeah.
I mean, I guess we voted in Obama a few years back, but
That's
Fuck.
fair. Yeah.
so I guess it's not
Fair,
all
I
bad.
guess.
At least
Mhm.
age-wise, not all bad. Let's see here. He clear anti-communist. In fact, one of his policies in office was to end communism outright, which I guess he was mostly successful in.
He was
you wanna
close.
argue
A
that.
Yeah.
couple years off. He was like 4 years off.
Mhm.
Yeah. He became governor of California. That's a big deal. Because basically being
Yes.
governor of California is basically like being the leader of a whole nation in most other places.
Essentially.
Looked up
Yeah.
the nation.
He actually ended up having a budget surplus as governor, which he gave back to the people. So that was cool.
Dang.
Sick.
He would never again
Dang,
have
if
a
only he
budget
did that as
surplus
president.
in public office ever again.
Mhm.
It's interesting. He actually he idolized Calvin Coolidge a good bit. I believe Calvin Coolidge was his favorite president. Ironically, though, him and Coolidge are like polar opposites in a lot of ways.
Seems about right. Yeah.
Coolidge is a quiet, humble. New Englander that was very small government and libertarian, while Ronald Reagan was a big government spender, very outgoing, kind of boisterous in a way. So
Yeah.
it is interesting, but you do see that in history, though. You do see a lot of these idols, a lot of these idols. They're a lot of their idols are like basically the polar opposite for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And honest, yeah. So it's interesting to note that, because Ronald Reagan, I remember in 1980, he campaigned on a platform of small government to curb inflation. He did not do small government at all. If anything, he expanded the government. So that was a total lie. But it seems like people were still okay with it. Goodness, let's see here. Of course, in 1981, he was nearly assassinated. Good old John Hinckley Jr., who is still alive, by the way. I'm not sure if you guys knew that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
John
I did
Hinckley
not
is
know that.
still alive. He actually is out of prison as well, or out of mental hospital, I should say, because he was found to be insane. He actually, I saw a video recently. He was singing songs and stuff on like his YouTube channel. He has a YouTube channel. Fucking John Hinckley.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That's right. I did hear about
wild.
that. Yeah, the guy that. Oh, that's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's writing like love songs now or something,
Yeah.
right?
He's in his
Oh my
60s now,
gosh.
so he still lives with his mom, I think. So now, granted, I don't know if he's all there anyways, or if he ever was, but
Yeah.
no. But good for him, man. I mean, it seems like he's doing all right for himself. Making songs.
Yeah.
Not assassinating presidents. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And in fact, I'm happy he got the help he needed, because simping for Jodie Foster is not cash money of him. Of course, the whole reason he even tried to kill Reagan was to impress Jodie Foster in whatever demented
Interesting.
language he was thinking in. Of course, Jodie Foster was a very popular actress at this time. I guess she was fairly attractive. Apparently, I guess she had to be attractive enough to be worth killing someone for. He also escalated tensions with the Soviets. If you want my personal opinion on this, I don't think that was necessary. I actually
No, I don't think so
sort of think the Soviet Union would have fizzled out regardless on if we escalate tensions or not. In fact, I actually am partially to the belief that Reagan actually kept the Cold War going for slightly longer than it would have otherwise, but also racking up the military spending budget way higher than it could have been. Gorbachev was going to dissolve the Soviet Union regardless if Reagan was president or
I think
not.
so. Yeah.
Because at this time the Soviet Union is collapsing. There are failures in Afghanistan, the Chernobyl disaster, the economic crisis. That the Soviet Union is not going to last.
No, not at all.
And in some ways, Reagan escalating tensions gave the Soviets a little more fervor in those final years to keep them going.
Pretty much.
Now, he actually had pretty good relations with Gorbachev. I guess when I mean escalating tension with the Soviets, it was with Andropov and I think Chernunov, I think his name is. Now, those two did not live very long, fortunately for Reagan, because if they were around still, and I don't know if the Cold War would have ended under Bush, because Gorbachev, he was basically gifted Gorbachev. Gorbachev was willing to really dissolve the Soviet Union and was pretty willing to open up democracy in Eastern Europe. So it's not every day that you get such a willing partner in such a big deal, right? Let's see here. God, I literally have half a page of notes on this one fucking guy. It's nuts.
Yeah, it seemed. Yeah, you kind of need them, really.
Going back to the war in Afghanistan, he ended up sending weapons to the Mujahideen, he's including Stinger missiles. There is actually an excerpt from a member of the Mujahideen stating that in quote, I think the only two things an Afghan needs is the Quran and a Stinger. So
yeah, right.
Now those
boy.
Stinger missiles were absolutely killed. I think they shot down. I don't know if it was hundreds, but it might have been that many. But they shot down tens of hundreds of helicopters and with those things of Soviet Hinds. So really help halt the advance into Afghanistan. Though they were never gonna win Afghanistan anyways. That was a guerrilla war.
Yeah.
It was like Vietnam. There's
Pretty
no
much.
fucking way they were winning that. The Mujahideen
Yeah,
at
it
worst
really
would have hid
was.
out in the mountains and murdered a bunch of Soviet troops. It was never gonna work out. That being said, though, the Mujahideen later turned into the Taliban with the same Stinger missiles and the AKs. Then the Taliban turned into Al Qaeda, and then Al Qaeda turned into ISIS. So that went very well for us. It totally did not backfire at all in our face. Bush.
Oh yeah, of course not.
9/11 totally did backfire. Anyways, he also nominated Sandra Day O'Connor for the Supreme Court. She was, of course, the first woman on the Supreme Court. So that was a monumental occasion, definitely. So he was definitely not afraid to break boundaries in the traditional sense, right?
Yeah, definitely.
He actually had an inflation drip and drop in unemployment during his 2 terms. However, of course, as we mentioned before the stream started, he tripled the national debt in 8 years.
Yeah.
And the debt has never gone down ever since. So
no.
It unfortunately doesn't seem like an issue no one cares about anymore.
Which is interesting.
Everyone's just sort of accepts that we're
sense.
trillions of dollars in debt, but
yeah, it would have been okay had the actual spending really changed a whole lot, but it really didn't seem to affect a whole lot. There was definitely some job growth, but not enough to be.
It was all temporary as well.
The national debt. Yeah,
because remember, post Reagan, there was a recession in the early 90s.
That's true. Yeah,
because I think Reaganomics is really
the 80s too.
Reaganomics is really like big boom during this time and then really bad time afterwards, right?
Yes,
it's sure. Not economic. I wouldn't call it economic stability. It's like it's very unstable in a lot of ways because the economic boom is really good, but the recession is really bad afterwards, after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And he got to blame it on his successor, unfortunately. So.
Yes. Yeah, and I think
unlucky.
In reality, I think we're kind of looking through that. So.
Exactly. Of course, he expanded the military. I think we mentioned that a few times already.
Yeah.
Tax cuts in the classic Republican manner, trickle down economics, which is total piss. I mean, it sounds like piss because it's trickle down economics.
Yeah, it's just ugh.
He invaded Grenada, which is fun.
Oh yeah, interesting.
He also, I actually don't know too much about that, so I won't elaborate too much further. He also invaded Panama. That actually might have been H.W. Bush, but it was around that time. Panama with Manuel Noriega.
Yeah.
Noriega ended up getting captured. And let's see. Okay, also he funneled drugs to poor communities. That's not a big secret, though.
Yeah,
everyone knows that.
But
it is something to consider with them.
Big consideration. Yeah, which is funny considering the whole DARE thing, and then
so much for that war on drugs, right?
Yeah. Yikes.
It's more like the war on poor people. That's what it really should have been
Pretty
called.
Much. Yeah, that's by far one of his worst qualities.
Of course, Reagan. He ended up getting Alzheimer's, I think, in 1994, around there, and ended up passing away of complications from Alzheimer's in 2004. So because of that, actually, I think Ronald Reagan, either National Library Foundation has been a big fundraiser on Alzheimer's research.
Yeah.
So good on that at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Reagan is tough to rate because as a person, I don't totally hate him. I don't think he's I don't think he's
I don't think he's
devil.
terrible.
I think he was outgoing and charismatic. He was probably a fun guy to be around, generally.
Yeah.
Until you talk politics. If you really think about it, he really is like the epitome of a boomer. The clean cut, the hair, the slicked hair, the clean cut. The affable nature, right? The seemingly blissful ignorance that he had.
Yes, definitely.
It's very boomer, actually, and I think that's why so many people voted for him at that time, because it's very resonated with boomers.
Exactly, yep.
Reagan, the thing is, I don't want to rank him too low, because it wasn't like he was all bad, right?
Because there was definitely some okay things, yeah.
Because the destruction of the Berlin Wall was big, and the general easing into the collapse of the Soviet Union was nice. You know, the negotiations with Gorbachev were good. Even if I believe that another president could have done the same, you still have to give credit where it's due. But a lot of his policies have really backfired in modern day, and he's really hurt us more than helped us as a nation. Honestly, because the issue I have with I want to rank him like a low D. I have an issue with...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well.
I have an issue putting him in E or F just on the basis that I can't quite bring myself to go that low on him.
Yeah, I agree. He wasn't great, but he wasn't like Buchanan tier, you know.
No.
I think he gets a lot of bad rep, which is
he gets a lot of bad rep. He also gets a lot
deserved, but
I think what we try to do with him is we try to possibly give him the benefit of the doubt, because a lot of people,
I think so as well.
I feel like a lot of people either rank him F tier or like S tier. No one ranks him in between.
Yeah.
I think he's somewhere in between. He's not black and white. Yep. And just like a lot of things, he's not black and white. He's very complicated. He's a very complicated figure to talk about. And I don't think I don't think it's as simple as putting him in F tier and just calling it a day. And that being said, it seems like my parents and my parents' friends really like him. So
interesting.
I guess in some ways he seems to, at least for older people, they seem to resonate with him. So
I guess so.
Credit has to be given somewhere in that regard. So he's a D for me.
I think so as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, we need to figure out if RDZ's still alive. He might be getting that steak by now.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. Cooking up a good steak. I don't blame him though. But so Reagan's done. Now we'll go on to his successor, Vice President.
Oh yes.
Vice President turned President George H.W. Bush, also known as Herbert Walker. What do you think about him initially?
You know, I really don't know enough about him. I'm not sure. There was a little bit that I used to know about him, and over time, I guess I just kind of lost it a little bit. Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of his major policies or anything, so couldn't actually tell you.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that seems to be kind of consensus on him nowadays. It seems like a lot of people just don't know much about him. He's a one-term president. He really. There really isn't much. There isn't a lot to talk about on the surface for him, though. I admit, once I researched him, he ended up being a lot more interesting than I first believed.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But definitely isn't as interesting as some of the guys like Reagan or Bill Clinton or Trump. You know, some of these guys that come up, right? Or even his son, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yep.
But I thought H.W. Bush, he was a one-term president, but I thought he was I thought he was solid actually. I didn't think he was too bad.
Yeah, he's actually not bad.
Yeah, because when I looked back on him, he wasn't bad. He had the quote where, I think on his campaign run in '88, I think he had a quote where he said, "Read my lips, no new taxes," and that backfired on him because he ended up raising taxes. The
Nice.
thing is, though, it's just kind of like, in hindsight, it seems kind of silly that people were so pissed that he raised taxes during a recession. It's like, okay, guys.
Exactly.
I do give knocks to George H.W. in some ways because his vice president pick, Dan Quayle, I thought was a fucking terrible choice.
Oh yeah.
If you watch anything with about Dan Quayle, he is like a total fucking bozo.
No.
He's not very intelligent, and in one of his vice president's debates in '88, he compared himself to Jack Kennedy, and then the Democratic vice president candidate Lloyd Benson totally roasted the shit out of him and basically said he was no Jack Kennedy. So get wrecked, Dan Quayle.
Yeah, seriously.
Dan Quayle's alive as well.
You have,
so
I like how you have all these things of vice presidents. It it adds a lot to it because
that's the next
know
that's the
about,
next list
half
maybe.
Vice presidents.
The vice presidents might be next.
Yeah,
because there are some really interesting ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Same with failed presidential candidates. I would really like to do that at some point. The people who didn't make it.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. With H.W. Bush, he appointed Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court. I believe Clarence Thomas was he was not the first black Supreme Court judge. That was Thurgood Marshall. But Clarence Thomas, still to this day, is a very important figure on the Supreme Court. My mom actually ran into Clarence Thomas a couple of times when her and my dad were living in Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, nice.
So at that time they were part of the young Republican movement in the area. So this is the H.W. Bush kind of Bill Clinton times. And he ordered food at the same Chinese restaurant that mom would go to, like when she would pick up food for her and dad. So she would run into him every once in a while, just out of nowhere. And he was nice, he would say hi and stuff, and just
yeah.
And a good thing on my parents is that they wouldn't fangirl out or something. They would just act normal.
Yeah.
Which probably made it better in some ways. Because honestly, if you ran up to a Supreme Court judge and like, oh my god, and you're gonna get sent to jail.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
There's gonna be a Supreme Court case against you for harassment, so it's just not gonna go well for you.
Exactly.
Yep. So that's just a cool little side story there.
Nice.
His dad was Prescott Bush. Prescott Bush was a U.S. senator in Texas. He also he has a really interesting military background. So in World War II, he served in World War II. He was the youngest Navy pilot cadet in the Navy. He's the youngest pilot in the whole Navy. I think he was he was either 18 or 19, but he was very young. So just think about it this way, right? I'm 19. This man at the same age as me is fucking flying in the Pacific against the Japanese. So
that's insane.
Madman, right?
Jeez. Yeah.
At one point, I believe he got shot down and had to swim to safety, basically.
Yeah.
Once his plane had crashed, the Japanese were searching for him. And of course the Japanese were gonna kill him, probably. But first they probably would have pissed on him, maimed him, cut his dick off. So it would not have been fun times for him. But definitely a war hero president. I'll say that. Very courageous.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Great military story. He got rich in the oil business because if you're from Texas, you're a rich man from Texas. The oil is gonna be good down there.
Naturally.
He became a congressman, later was a UN ambassador for the United States, ended up becoming the chairman of the RNC, an ambassador to China, and later he was the CIA chief. So this guy was all over the place. He was doing all sorts of different tasks, and it seemed like he did them fairly successfully.
I think so, yeah.
Now, once we get to his presidency, he, of course, he oversaw the Persian Gulf War. Of course, this was in 91 when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. Bad idea, Saddam. The U.S. had formed a coalition to send Saddam packing, which they did. This will come to bite them back in the butt later, but at this time they decided to not fully invade Iraq and take down Saddam. This will come back and bite his son in the ass. So
Yes,
whether that's a good
very
decision or a
much
bad
so.
decision, it will really greatly affect his son.
Mhm.
He ended up having the recession during his presidency. He ended up raising taxes, despite the promise he wouldn't, which seems to be like really what people hold against him, which is kind of seems really mild in comparison to most presidents, because it's like Andrew Jackson removed Indians from their homes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like fucking
Yep.
Rutherford B. Hayes stole an election. What did George H.W. Bush do? He raised taxes. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It seems like,
And I think that's a very like common concept, especially with like American presidents, is like the people here do not like raising taxes at all for any reason.
yeah, very
So
clearly.
it's a very tough thing.
Here we go. He of course he oversaw the end of the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up passing bills to help the environment, none that I have listed here because I am dumb and I should have listed a couple of bills, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Operation Just Cause, which I actually don't remember what that is. See, this is like, I should actually cite my sources so I actually know what I'm talking about when I list the stuff. I guess though, presumably,
Yeah,
I would,
yeah.
when I wrote down these notes, I thought I was going to be talking about it like 2 days after I wrote them down instead of like 3 weeks, but whatever.
Yeah.
Something to note in the 1992 election, the vote was heavily split by both Bill Clinton and Texas billionaire Ross Perot, who is an
Nice.
extraordinarily interesting guy to talk about, and we'll probably have to get more into him someday. Ross Perot in 92, I think, ended up winning something like 19% of the popular vote, which is insane for a third-party candidate.
Yeah.
And was partially responsible for Bush not winning re-election. Though, admittedly, when you look at the analytics, Perot stole way more Clinton voters than Bush voters. But Republicans will still blame Perot to this day. And that's what, in that way, I say that he was partially responsible, because you can't deny that 19% of the vote not going to Bush or Clinton definitely hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But Perot, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
His sons George W. and Jeb are both in politics. George W. we'll get to in a few minutes, and of course Jeb.
Yeah.
Everyone loves
Jeb.
Jeb Bush. Everyone's favorite.
Oh, of course.
right?
Yeah.
God, I don't even want to get into
Jeb.
Jeb Bush. God, there's the funniest. That's one of the funniest political videos is from Jeb Bush. It was in 2016 when
gosh,
he was
yeah.
running for election. He was at some like town hall or something. He said something that he thought was funny, and then he was like, "Please clap." Like he told the audience to clap
Yeah. Oh no.
in the most deadpan expression, not even trying to be funny. It was like, "Please clap."
Yeah. Oh man. Poor guy.
God.
Oh, that's funny.
Jeb Bush, dude. Yeah.
Jeb Bush.
See,
what a
we
guy.
talk shit about Trump and Biden, but man, Jeb Bush, man,
Jeb.
ooh, really good.
He was slept on.
Oh, no. Everyone's sleeping on him for a reason.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, yes. I'm just looking through. So H.W. Bush's environmental policy. So he put something into place that reduced sulfur dioxide emissions, which is good
nice.
because that in turn will reduce acid rain. And he also, as Robert said, he passed the Clean Air Act, which was really nice. It was a way to reduce climate pollution, so that was really good.
Good.
It looks like that's about it, but I mean, those two things in and of themselves are huge. So that's a really good thing.
Was NAFTA started with Reagan? Well, I thought that was a Clinton.
Yeah.
I thought that was. I guess the idea was probably started by Reagan, but I know Clinton's the one that
Yeah.
really, like, because I remember the
Yeah, so-
'92 election. That was a big thing. NAFTA.
It was, yeah, and
I guess the only reason I
think
didn't bring it
Reagan's
up was
part of his
because of
campaign thing
Clinton.
was, yeah, I think so, and I think the original idea was brought up by Reagan, and it was part of his campaign.
That wouldn't surprise me.
but I don't
NAFTA
think
fucking
anything
sucks.
ever really started until later.
NAFTA kind of sucks, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was a Reagan thing.
Hmm.
Perot was against NAFTA. Actually, he said he said it wouldn't work, and guess what? It didn't work. Maybe Ross Perot was right.
Right. Yep.
H.W. Bush, of course, he's the last one-term president before Trump. Though the jury's still out on if Trump will get reelected, something like Grover Cleveland style. I somehow doubt it, though.
Yeah. Right.
H.W. Bush, really interesting guy. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, but very interesting guy. I generally feel like I would respect him as a person.
I think so as well. Yeah.
Not on a Jimmy
He seems like a
Carter
very
fashion,
respectful guy.
but definitely I would actually talk to the man and probably not fear for my life, like being in Lyndon B. Johnson's presence. So
Yeah, exactly.
honestly, H.W. Bush is probably a D tier, just like Reagan. He's probably in.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he only had one term, and you can't. His policies were okay. It's sort of whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I just don't think they were crazy impactful. I mean, the environmental stuff was all right, but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot that really like stood out, and there wasn't enough time for anything to really fall into place either.
There was
so,
one
yeah.
cool thing he did. He held a military parade after the invasion, after the Gulf War,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is kind of cool. You know, because
Yeah, I think
contrary
so.
to what people would talk about, like Trump and stuff in the military period, I think they're kind of cool every once in a while just to have.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think it's just depending on what time you decide to do it is really what matters.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I honestly say my mom and dad attended that one as well. They attended that parade actually.
Really?
I mean, there's
Wow.
hundreds of thousands of people
Nice.
there, granted, but
Oh, of course.
that
Yeah.
was kind of neat.
Naturally.
Cool post-Cold War military parade, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So there goes HW. Up next, we got a saxophone playing, dick sticking, Bill Clinton.
Oh yeah. Bill Clinton. Oh boy, where do we start?
Good old Bill.
Bill.
Good old poor kid from Arkansas. Never knew his pa. Actually, yeah, he literally never knew his dad. His dad left him, left his
Oh
family.
wow.
So that's
Dang.
fun. So he had a piece of
Yeah.
shit dad. It actually makes you wonder if he wouldn't have stuck his dick into so many people if he actually had a father figure that would tell him not to do that.
Right? Yeah.
It's just
Makes
a
you
thought.
think a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a
Like
thought,
if you
yeah.
had a good role model that would tell you not to sexually harass and assault women, but whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Of course he's I think he's the only president from Arkansas. I mean, honestly, who comes from Arkansas?
True. Yeah. Very true.
He ended up going to Georgetown, Yale, and Oxford. I believe he ended up meeting Hillary Rodman at Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, good old Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
I almost want to deduct points off of Bill Clinton just for the fact he married Hillary.
Yeah.
fucking terrifying.
Another topic for another day.
Though I feel like
perhaps,
if I
but
talk too much trash about her, I'm gonna get murdered. So.
Right.
And they're gonna stage it as a suicide. Like, oh, he tripped down the stairs. It's like he tripped down the stairs, and there just so happened to be a rope hanging down, and he fucking hung himself. It's like, oh.
There just so happened to be someone who was out to get him on his way to work or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. God.
Dude, Hillary fans are something else, man.
Oh God. He ended up dodging the draft in Vietnam. Good for him, honestly.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, going to Vietnam is basically a death sentence. So,
pretty much, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
He ended up becoming the youngest attorney general in Arkansas and youngest governor of Arkansas. During his presidency, domestic terrorism became a big thing. Not to interrupt you, of course.
Oh yeah.
But this is like the early mid-90s. This is when domestic terrorism goes from 0 to 100. This is when you really start to see domestic terrorism come into its own.
Yep.
Of course, you have Waco.
The
ATF still gets flack to this day for Waco, as they should. The World Trade Center in 1993, World Trade Center bombing. That's the one that seems to get forgotten.
I think so. Yeah, but it's interesting.
So that was a pretty serious thing at the time. That was.
Oh yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
Well, before the fucking building came down, but.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of tops a bombing. So.
Yeah.
You also had Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City, bombed the FBI building.
That's right.
That had a fucking daycare in it.
Yeah, that one was.
Yeah,
that one was.
Timothy McVeigh got the lethal injection because of that. He killed 200 people. He's also known for gun control, of course. This is when gun control really starts getting stricter.
Yep.
He ended up introducing the FMLA, which is funny because that abbreviation makes it look like "fuck my life" always. But anyways,
yeah, exactly.
The FMLA was the Family and Medical Leave Act, which is cool. Medical leave is good. Good for you.
Yes.
Of course, NAFTA, as mentioned earlier. NAFTA, in my opinion, NAFTA is pretty low. I think NAFTA was a total fucking disaster for America.
I think so too. So, like in theory, it seems good. Like, because trade is it's almost always beneficial, but it comes at the cost of essentially outsourcing labor, and the reason why was mostly because there's cheaper labor overseas and out of country.
Well, why work? Yeah. Well, why produce goods in America when you can produce goods somewhere where they basically have slave labor? It's like
cheaper. I was going to mention that. I was going to say it's cheaper, and there's almost no workplace protections. There's no unions. There's no minimum wage, nothing like that.
No rights for workers.
In theory, it's good, but then when you look into it, eliminating workers' rights does not outweigh the benefits at all.
Oh God!
So,
yeah, God no.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton was I want to say the third president impeached at this point. Though I don't know if Nixon. I guess. No, because I don't think Nixon was technically impeached at any point. I think he resigned before that happened. So never know. So he was the second impeached. Of course, when we think of Bill Clinton, we think of scandals. He was a very scandalous man.
Yeah. Yes.
Monica Lewinsky comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, Monica Lewinsky has a Twitter account, which is kind of interesting.
Oh really?
I kind of feel bad for her that her whole life she's gonna just be known for having sex with Bill Clinton.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because she's done some really good advocacy work for women, but
nice.
she's gonna be known for is
that's good.
Having sex with Bill Clinton. Unfortunately, so that's kind of shitty.
Yeah, and that speaks volumes about all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. Bill Clinton also plays saxophone. I think there's a couple of clips on YouTube of him actually playing the saxophone, which is kind of neat.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
I mean, this dude
Yeah.
is like a total sexual pervert, and he plays saxophone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great combo. I'm just saying. You know, got the
Exactly. Yeah.
sexy saxophone music playing in the backgrounds. He
Oh
honestly,
yeah.
he's the type of dude that's like he has like the recorder, and then
Hmm.
he presses play, and it's his own pre-recorded saxophone solo, while he's taking
Yeah.
his
Exactly.
pants off in the bedroom with this fucking like 20 something lady.
It's like him. It's like him playing Careless Whisper, but like it's his own recording.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so cursed.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
You're not wrong though. Yeah.
Um, Bill Clinton is probably one of the first presidents that we will consider a neoliberal. Basically,
Hmm.
I actually don't know much about the term neoliberal itself. All I know is it's basically like this weird hodgepodge of being fiscally conservative and socially socially liberal. I believe that's
Yeah.
what the term means. I could be totally
I
wrong
think
about
it
that,
is.
and I
Yeah.
would actually like someone in the comments to correct me if I am. Um,
Hmm.
he was basically a centrist. He was able to get bipartisan support between the Republicans and Democrats. So good on him.
Yeah. That's huge.
He did
Honestly.
manage to tax the rich. So cool, good.
Hmm.
He also passed welfare reform. He did try to pass healthcare reform as well, but that was blocked by Newt Gingrich and those boys. Um,
Yep.
he ended up bombing Iraq because that's just what presidents do, I guess. They just bomb the Middle
Oh,
East.
of course.
He also
Hmm.
had the little conflict in the Balkans. Of course, if the Balkan wars that were going on were horrific.
Oh yeah.
And actually, during that, one of our stealth bombers was shot down. I'm pretty sure,
Oh, wow. Dang.
and like that was I remember watching something like that. That was fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
there's also Black Hawk Down, Mogadishu,
Oh, yeah.
Somalia, 1993.
Hmm.
I think something like about 100 American troops died.
Yeah.
Are just casualties in Somalia. Uh, the Somalian rebels just absolutely ran their shit.
Yeah, they
The
did.
Black Hawks, referring to the helicopters, got shot down, leaving the troops isolated and trapped. Total disaster, total logistical nightmare,
Seriously.
um, and military disaster for the U.S. Um,
Hmm.
Of course, post Cold War, he decided to keep the United States Empire because that's just what you do, I guess.
Naturally.
He was able to broker peace between the Middle East. However, this peace was fragile, as most peace is.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you mention Bill Clinton, you also have to mention Hillary. Later became Secretary of State under Barack Obama and ended up running for president in both 2008 and 2016.
Nice.
He also had a weird relationship with Russian President Boris Yeltsin. There was a hilarious video
Hmm.
on YouTube of him and Boris Yeltsin, who both look like
Yeah.
super drunk, and they were basically having a press conference, and they were laughing their ass off, like all drunk and shit.
Oh
One of the
no.
funniest videos.
Nice.
We also this is also a time of economic stability. This in some ways why Bill Clinton gets viewed in a more positive light is because
Yeah.
there's this notion that this like point in the 90s was good times and people were happy, which isn't totally true.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how people look at the 50s sometimes, like, oh, everyone's so happy and got
Yeah.
along. It's like,
Exactly.
it's not really true, but it just
Yeah.
seems
Pretty
that way on the
much.
surface, right?
Yes. Very much so.
Bill Clinton did not have sexual relations with that woman, as he said in quote.
Hmm.
And because he did not have sexual relations with that woman, I will have to rank him in D tier as well.
Yeah, I think that's fitting.
All right. So if he did have sexual relations with that woman, he would be ranked in E. But since he did
Oh
not,
yeah.
he's going D.
Yeah. We'll take his word for it.
All right. Cool. Well, I think think up next we got a W, George W. Bush.
Oh yeah.
Good old W. God.
Good old Bush.
Yeah, I don't even want.
Oh,
I don't
boy.
even think about this guy. Now,
Yeah.
I'm already gonna warn in advance. We might have another F tier.
Yeah, I think so.
We might have another F tier guy here. We haven't had an F tier since Andrew Johnson. You have to be pretty terrible
Yeah.
to be down.
You
there.
really do, yeah.
And
And we don't even want to mention Buchanan again.
No. Yeah. I'm Bush is pretty close to that Buchanan tier. I'm not gonna lie. I do not have a good opinion on
He's
W.
bad. No, I don't either.
Oh my god, that's tempting as fuck to put him in Buchanan tier because it doesn't make sense to put him in Buchanan tier, but he's almost to that level where I'm like holy fuck, I do not like George W. Bush at all. I actually like him.
No.
I actually like him less than Obama and Trump, for reference.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Because despite how divisive both Obama and Trump are, I have higher opinions of both of them than W. So that is saying something because the Obama and Trump are not great either by any means.
No.
I have a full page based just on Bush.
Oh yeah.
So of course
He's deserving of it.
yeah. Of course, George W. Bush is the son of George Herbert Walker Bush. So we got another father-son duo. Bush was known for a lot of things. One of them was being just an incompetent ass.
Yes.
He, of course, when we think of Bush, we think of the Bush-isms, as they're called. Kind of the weird gaffes he had as president. Times where he seemed unaware or seemed just dumb as hell. And generally not very intelligent, seemingly.
Yes, seemingly.
Now, when we think of those Bush-isms, you would think they would kind of remind you of like old grandpa with dementia, kind of like Joe Biden sort of manner, but it's like worse somehow, I guess, because it wasn't really old demented
honestly.
grandpa. It was like dumb local clown or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because I wasn't like with Biden, the old grandpa thing is kind of funny sometimes, but with Bush, it's not even funny.
Yes.
It's like, Jesus, this is a president.
It's just bad.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's just bad.
He famously had a shoe thrown at him. That video is hilarious. I really wish the shoe hit him.
That video is so good. Yeah.
But I will say, good dodge by the president, though. He did dodge that shoe pretty nicely. But it's not every day you can say you got a shoe thrown at you. So.
Yeah, seriously.
I
think that speaks volumes, honestly.
Yeah. That's the best. Maybe his dodging skills should have been. He should have put more attributes into politics and less into dodging.
Yeah, he put all of his skill points into agility.
He's a big fan of sports. At one point, he actually owned the Texas Rangers baseball team.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. I think he still goes to their games sometimes. Actually, he still shows up.
I think he does. Yeah. There was a video.
God,
of
I
him,
hope he
like,
gets hit by a
pitching
foul
at
ball.
one, right?
Yeah. I hope he's at one of those games and some dude just hits a foul ball to him. Hits him in the nutsack or something. Doesn't even like hurt, like kill him or anything. Because I don't want that. Just fucking like hits him in the nuts or something. God.
Just for comedic effect.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the last Bushism of his life, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Let's see. He was actually quite a rebellious young lad. His dad HW, like most boomer parents, was fairly domineering, pretty strict, had a lot of high expectations for W. Because of this, W was pretty rebellious as a young adult. He struggled academically, but somehow graduated out of Yale and Harvard. We partially think this is because Herbert Walker was funneling money into these programs. Because
It seems about right.
Because academically, it really doesn't seem like he should have graduated, but
No.
he did.
Yeah.
So he got a degree.
Dang.
He ended up becoming a pilot in the Texas Air National Guard. Apparently, there are reports that his pilot certification was also forged.
Oh no.
So
Oh,
I
that's bad.
don't know the
Yeah.
validity of that, but there are actually rumors from
Yeah.
fellow pilots in the Texas Air National Guard that he was not a very good pilot, and that the only reason he passed is because his daddy paid money for him to pass.
Oh no.
And
Yeah.
honestly, this is the
That's a
Texas
problem.
Air National Guard, so he's probably not flying around too much anyways. Hopefully.
No, thank goodness. Yeah. Good thing he didn't join like the Air Force or something.
Oh god.
Yikes.
No, I don't think he would have passed. I don't
No,
even
I
know
don't
they
think
would
so
allow
either.
him in.
Hmm.
He also made money on oil, just like his papa and his grandpa before. He was actually at one point an alcoholic. I didn't know this actually. He was
I
an
didn't know that
alcoholic
either.
at a point in his life. I think around his 30s or so. I think he got depressed and started consuming alcohol.
Gotcha.
He ended up
Yep.
recovering. He ended up fighting the addiction. He used God to help him. So he ended up overcoming alcoholism. I do have respect for that.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
He had a lot of public speaking gaffes. It kind of
Oh,
goes
yeah.
back to the Bushisms. Of course, when we think of George W. Bush, we think of 9/11.
Mhm.
Of course, probably America's worst tragedy to happen.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely, at least in
Yeah.
the 20th century, if you want to argue maybe something was worse.
Yeah. Yep.
The attacks of the World Trade Center did allow the government to really crack down on free speech. Of course, this is the start of the War on Terror. This is also the start of the Patriot Act, which we will talk about in further discussion in a moment here.
Oh yeah. I feel like we could almost do another video on that kind of stuff sometimes.
God,
Like,
Patriot
there's so
Act.
much to it. Yeah.
What's crazy about the Patriot Act is this live stream. Like, I know we're streaming it live to the public, but I bet you even if we
Yeah.
weren't, they would still be listening in on it, which is scary to think about. But
Yeah, it's a little interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Homeland Security.
and there
all
was
that
the
stuff,
FBI
yeah.
agent that made me cough, trying to funnel drugs into my system.
Exactly, yeah.
Um.
Just hit by a dart of fentanyl or
Oh
something.
God.
Let's hope not. That'd be bad. But
Something
yeah,
to mention
anyways.
with Bush as well is the 2000 election was one of the closest elections in American history. He barely
Oh,
beat
yeah,
out
yeah.
Al Gore in Florida, which gave him the victory.
Yep.
Now, the fact that he barely won against Man Bear Pig is pretty incredible, considering
Yeah,
that he's running
seriously.
against Man Bear Pig. So, God, because I don't honestly, if Al Gore was president, I don't know how much better it would have been.
Yeah, probably.
He also had the No Child Left Behind policy.
Mm-hmm.
However, that never really got proper funding, so it didn't really go anywhere. That's why you don't hear about No Child Left Behind anymore. Because it was a good idea on paper, but nothing really came of it.
Yes.
Of course, the Patriot Act, going back to that, Patriot Act is one of the worst bills passed into law in American history, in my opinion.
Easily.
I think that's.
Yeah, easily.
I think that would be generally consensus opinion, but I will still say,
think so.
in my opinion, just so that
Yeah.
that single Patriot Act offender in the comments won't be like,
Actually, it's good that the government have surveillance on us. It doesn't matter that they
arrested. It doesn't matter that they arrested one guy in their whole history of the Patriot Acts, who they suspected of terrorism. That's an
which is
interesting thing, by
crazy.
the way. Snowden, in an interview, he talked about how the Patriot Act and the surveillance, they had only arrested one guy in relation to any like terrorist threats, and the guy
Oh, wow.
wasn't. It turned out he wasn't even a terrorist. He he was just
Oh no.
he was just upset with his company, and and was upset with his company and was joking with the buddy of his that he was going to bomb the building or something. So it didn't even go anywhere. No one.
So we
think
do
about
a little
that.
trolling.
No one has been
no.
convicted under the Patriot Act. No actual terrorist has been convicted of anything. So it doesn't even serve its purpose. And honestly, if they thought that their mass surveillance would even catch terrorists, because fun fact, terrorists are a little smarter than that. Well,
yes.
Especially these mass terrorists, right? They're a little smarter than that.
Yeah, exactly.
So literally, the only purpose that it serves is to just spy on the American people.
Yeah, seriously.
You also have the mention of George W. Bush. His vice president, Dick Cheney, is one of the worst vice presidents in American history. He's probably the worst vice president behind Spiro Agnew. This guy is terrible.
Awful.
Dick Cheney, on a hunting trip, shot his friends with a hunting rifle. Both of them claimed it was an accident. Honestly, I think I think his friend was just happy to be alive, so he would suck Cheney's dick and beg to not be shot again.
Yeah. So
scary stuff. Fun fact about Dick Cheney, though. Dick Cheney was pro-LGBT rights before it was cool. Yeah. His one of his daughters is a lesbian, I believe. So he was actually pro-gay rights. But in classic conservative fashion, conservatives are liberal in one aspect of social issues because it applies to them. So it's a selfish reason on why they believe in the thing they do.
Pretty much.
Because you betcha that man wouldn't have cared nothing about gay rights if his daughter wasn't gay, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You betcha he wouldn't care. Yep. Another thing to mention with Bush, the terrible response to Hurricane Katrina. The government did nothing to help the people of New Orleans after Katrina happened.
Yep.
Now, the government failed before Katrina because those levees were going to failed. Because the levees failed when they shouldn't have.
Yes.
The levees were hastily and poorly designed, and now we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars trying to make levees that actually work. The levee project in New Orleans right now by the Army Corps of Engineers is one of the biggest man-made engineering projects in history. Because we're having to tear down all the shitty levees and make new levees that actually work.
Yeah, and make good ones. Yeah. And I'm sure
not just the levees, but the seawall as well. We have to fix the seawall.
Oh yeah.
Fun times.
And I'm sure global warming and stuff will have some play in that as well. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He's the one that created the Department of Homeland Security. So.
Yep. Edward Snowden, all that stuff, yeah. Oh, no.
The Bush presidencies where you start to really see Islamophobia become a big thing in culture. Islamophobia was always existed, but this is when after the 9/11 attacks, this is when it really riles up. Wearing a hijab in public in America at this time basically meant you were dead. So
pretty much, yeah.
Scary times for Muslims in America at this time.
Yes.
Still, and arguably in some ways, it still is a scary time to be Muslim in the United States.
Yeah.
Because there are still plenty of people that are still scared of Muslims and are just assume that they're terrorists, which is unfortunate, really unfortunate.
It really is, yeah. It's sad.
We also got the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Basically, the idea that America can legally spy on other countries because, yay. Or the U.S. can help other countries spy on other people.
Yeah, which seems like an okay idea until you realize that starts so much conflict and tension.
Oh,
it's like, man.
Of course,
it's okay, but at what cost?
Of course. You also have to mention the invasion of Iraq in 2003.
Oh yeah.
The
Yep.
the death of Saddam Hussein. Now, this is not me defending Saddam at all. He was a terrible man. But ever
Yeah.
since they killed Saddam, Iraq has been in absolute turmoil.
Yeah.
Um,
Seriously.
and honestly, if we're gonna kill these dictators, we should probably have a better plan on replacing them.
Yes, very much so.
Of course, he famously his administration famously claimed that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. Saddam did not
Yep.
have weapons of mass destruction, as it turned out. It very quickly became
Yes.
clear that Saddam had no nuclear weapons or any sort of chemical gas that he would use against anyone.
Yes.
This is something that Bush had talked about, Cheney had mentioned, and Secretary of State Donald Rumsfeld had mentioned. I don't know if
Sure.
he was.
Yeah.
I don't actually recall if that was the position Rumsfeld was at in the cabinet. It was either Secretary of State, Secretary of War, or something in that deal.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Gotcha.
all had claimed that he had WMDs. He did not.
Mm-hmm.
Saddam was a piece of shit, but that man did not have the WMDs. And that
No,
was the whole
yeah.
reason for invading Iraq in the first place. So,
Pretty much, yeah. Which is like, that doesn't look very good, does it?
we also end up invading Iraq, or not Iraq, excuse me. We also invade Afghanistan because for
Yep.
some reason we did not learn from the Soviets in the British Empire
course,
to
yeah.
invade Afghanistan. Like, bad idea. We are
Mhm.
still in Afghanistan to this day. We still have troops in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Though apparently Joe Biden's planning on pulling them out, but like every president, he's gonna drag his feet and take his sweet ass time with it.
Yes. Which seems to be, yeah, like you mentioned, a reoccurring thing. Yeah. Which really sucks, honestly. It does.
He also detained many without trial, of course, cracking down on free speech. This is also where Guantanamo Bay really comes into the spotlight. Guantanamo Bay was around, but this is really when you start hearing about it and the waterboardings and the torture.
Yeah, all that stuff. And I think a lot of that came out pretty recently, right? A lot of those interrogation files and reports and all that good stuff.
There you go. Damn, our chat's fucking popping tonight. Holy shit! I almost want
it's
to
going
keep
crazy.
track of it because I try to keep looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I told you we get to these modern guys and the people start really chiming in. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Let's see here. He made
whole,
immigration stricter, of course.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Granted, I kind of understand why, based on the fact that the country has been attacked by terrorists. So that one I don't hold too much against him. It's still I still like to have immigration though. I am supportive of immigration. Especially in America's case, because I that's kind of the way I see us as America, as we are the land of immigrants.
Yeah.
So,
and that's essentially what our country was made of. So yeah.
So basically, under Bush, we have millions of dead in Iraq and Afghanistan. The deficit is rising. The 2008 housing bubble in the stock market crash, the Great Recession starts under him. Of course, Bush bails out the big banks because of course he does, and all the big businesses. Because instead of helping the American people, he actually just bails out the banks and businesses. I think the furthest he went to help the American people at the start of the Great Recession was, I think he gave out like a $300 stimulus package. $300 in the biggest market crash since Great Depression.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yikes.
All right.
Yikes.
And unfortunately nowadays people seem to make Bush out to be this good, like this good guy who is cumbersome but good good-hearted guy. I don't think Bush is a good-hearted guy. I think he's actually kind of devilish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's kind of scary, actually. I think he's kind of, you know what he's kind of like? You know the Jar Jar Binks Sith theory? Where, like, people think Jar Jar Binks is actually a Sith.
Exactly. Yeah. On the outside, he looks just kind of clumsy and incompetent.
I think that's
but,
what
like,
Bush
with his actual
is.
actions, yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Bush is Jar Jar
Yikes.
Binks.
Yep.
That's the greatest comparison ever. George W. Bush
That
is
makes
Jar
so
Jar
much
Binks.
sense. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And just like Jar Jar Binks, everyone fucking hates him. He's going in F tier.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. That's I really don't think there's much debate with him. Like,
he's absolutely
there's so much,
terrible.
like, limiting free speech in general was bad, but then you add on, like, everything with that. You add on, the wars in the Middle East and everything, and how, like, fruitless those were, and just how terrible that was. And then you add on, like, the holding people with trial without, like, it's just, yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Very draconian. Very scary.
Yes.
Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna read these comments. These are insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of them now.
Oh god. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Yeah, exactly. Love that. So is this your friend Robert or something? Because I feel like
Yeah,
I think you
Robert.
guys were
Robert's a
talking.
buddy of mine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fucking Harold and Kumar smoking weed with Bush. I do remember that. We might have to push Bush up to an E tier for that. No,
Exactly. Yeah.
If only that's the way that worked.
Right.
Yeah. Obama gave out free N-word passes. S tier. Oh god.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second here, I guess.
Oh god. Dude, oh
Me
man.
said George Bush. My dad paid my way to president. Oh,
I mean, that's
no.
literally
Yeah.
what he did, though. To be honest.
Yeah.
Fucking. paid
Not
his way to
wrong.
become president.
Not wrong.
He used his daddy status, like, oh, look, my dad was the
He
cool
really
guy.
did. Yeah.
Just gonna fucking ride his coattails, pretty much.
Yep.
Because, like, the thing about, like, Herbert Walker is, like, okay, well, you could argue he was a self-made man. I mean, his dad was influential, but his dad was never president, so,
Mm-hmm.
he made something out of himself. You can't say that for W. Bush.
When your dad's your sugar daddy, yeah. You're not wrong with that one.
His comments are fucking cursed. God. Alright. Well, we're gonna move on to the next guy. These last two will totally not be controversial at all. Barack Hussein Obama.
That's three, yeah.
Mind you, I'm calling him Hussein. I don't really actually mean it. It's a funny joke I see on the internet a lot.
Oh yeah, it's
Or
hilarious.
the idea that Barack Obama is some, like, Muslim collaborator or something, which is, like, not even close to being true.
And it cracks me up too, the amount of people that genuinely believe that he's not a U.S. resident and that he was born, outside of the country and all that kind of stuff. It's so funny.
Obama
The
bin
amount of people that bought into that. Yeah. Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, this guy, he was actually Obama bin Laden. Get it? Because he's a Muslim collaborator and he's not from the United States. Except he is, but we're going to pretend he's not.
Exactly, yeah. We're just going to overlook that. Yeah.
So Hussein is the first African American president in American history. That's a huge milestone in our history.
Yeah.
His 2008 campaign is probably, in my opinion, one of the finest run presidential campaigns in American history.
Yeah.
It inspired millions of people. The idea of hope and change, because even if there was no hope and there was no change, the campaign itself was amazing. And I really did feel...
Yeah.
And I think many Americans at that time really did feel optimistic.
I think so, too.
And I think that's something that you have to remember with Obama. And unfortunately, he didn't live up to expectations. But he did... There was an aura around him, at least early on, that he could bring change, and that, there was excitement in America, I guess.
Yeah.
There was...
Which is huge, considering that that
we haven't had it
wasn't a thing
since.
for years. Yeah,
And we haven't had
exactly.
it since. So.
Yep, sure thing.
Of course, when you think of Obama, Obama is probably one of the best public speaker presidents in American history as well.
Oh yeah.
As a private
Yeah,
speaker,
very
I've
well
heard
spoken.
he's not so good. But as a public speaker, this dude can rally crowds, can rile them up.
Yeah.
You know, he's in a lot of ways, he reminds me of like a Williams Jennings Bryant. You know, he's very, very great public speaker. That's something I don't deny with him. Like, I think he's a great orator. And on now, I guess we go on to his personal life a little bit. He was born in Hawaii, as you know, the birth certificate says.
Yes.
He ended up graduating from Harvard, ended up moving to Chicago. As a young graduate in Chicago, he ended up becoming a community organizer. Really, someone who was really very involved in the community, was wanting to help out people. He ended up getting into politics, where he ended up rising really fast through the ranks, as a local legislator. I want to say he was the youngest senator in Illinois history, if not the youngest, definitely one of them. He was, and I think he was only a senator for goodness, like maybe 4 years, 2 or 4 years before he became president. So he was not around for very long. And I guess in some ways people liked Obama because he was kind of seen as an outsider initially. So I think that's something that gave him a lot of momentum as well.
Yes.
Of course, when he came into office, he inherited the Great Recession. One of the things he tried to do to end the Great Recession was huge government spending.
Yes.
So really wanted to use the government to help people. Now how that worked out, we'll talk about in a moment. But
in theory it's good, but until it's put into practice, it's a different story.
His most famous policy is probably unsurprisingly Obamacare.
Yes.
The Affordable Care Act. So, honestly, I think Obamacare is fine. I see why people don't like it, but I don't mind Obamacare. Obamacare, really what it is, it's really just a compromise bill, unfortunately.
It really is, yeah. Yep.
And I think the issue with it is conservatives don't like it because they don't like the idea of having like a public welfare state and public health care. But then liberals don't like it because it doesn't go far enough for free. Exactly. For free, because of course many want free health care, So, but however, we still do have Obamacare. It was not repealed under Trump, though he did try to repeal it. And end up sticking around. So for at least the foreseeable future, we will have Obamacare.
Yes.
Whether that's good or bad is up for the chat to decide. Personally, I think it's fine. I'm kind of neutral on Obamacare. I think it's okay. Yeah. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. It's sort of just there.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. It's like a compromise. It's better than what we had before, but personally, I don't think it's quite enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, and honestly, I could almost do a whole separate video on the healthcare system and all that kind of stuff because, well, I'm a chemistry major with a minor in pharmaceutical chemistry, so I've learned a lot of kind of the healthcare system, especially when it comes to pharmaceutical companies and all that. And I could go on and on about that stuff, but
big pharma.
Another time.
Yeah, big pharma, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta love it.
So, yep.
He did end up ending the war in Iraq. However, he doubled down on Afghanistan. He also invaded Libya with the help of Hillary Clinton and overthrew Gaddafi. Libya ever since has been a total shit show. Again, it's similar to Saddam. Gaddafi's a piece of shit, but you gotta have a plan on what to do after. you leave.
Yes. Yep.
Um,
It's funny because they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and destabilize this, dictatorship or this government or whatever, and then do absolutely nothing afterward to help repair. It's
yeah,
just like, ugh,
exactly.
yikes.
Um,
What do you think is gonna happen?
I believe one of the motivations for the Obama administration to go in and overthrow the Gaddafi government was because at this time Gaddafi was attempting to make a Pan-African currency in sub-Saharan Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he had proposed to neighboring nations, so like Libya, Egypt, Algeria, etc., that they would create their own currency. This currency would have likely of drops down the value of the U.S. dollar,
Yeah,
and that's probably why Gaddafi was murdered. That's really just my
yeah.
theory on it. It's not really backed by any
Hmm.
real evidence, so take that as you will.
Yeah,
But that's personally why I believe they invaded, because God forbid the U.S.
yeah. I'm
dollar
sure.
drops 2 cents.
Oh, of course, yeah, naturally.
Let's see here. Of course, he also oversaw the death of Osama bin Laden. That of course, was SEAL Team 6.
Yep.
One of the cool moments of that, and I remember that as a kid. I remember there's a couple of perspectives I remember from. I remember from one perspective, there was the Sunday night baseball game going on. I think it was in Philadelphia, and like with the
Yeah.
Phillies, and they people were finding out during the game that Osama bin Laden had been killed, and so
Wow.
there was
Yeah.
like the USA chants and stuff, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then I
Yeah.
also
That's pretty cool.
it was like 10-11 at night or something, and
Hmm.
in my dad, I think, turns on the TV because he's like, he heard about something, and then Obama's walking to the podium and announcing this achievement. So that was a
Yeah.
very memorable moment in my young life. So
Yes, definitely.
I think it's a
Oh,
very
it's a big thing.
memorable moment in American history in general. And hey, we killed Osama bin Laden. It only no. Of course, bin Laden was a dangerous individual, so I don't really. It's not. I'm gonna say it was
Yeah.
bad that he died or anything.
Yep.
In some ways, you kind of wish it didn't take that long, but
True. Yeah.
the deed was done. Let's see here. Of course, this is the time. This is around the time when Edward Snowden ends up releasing
Yep.
basically releasing the information that the NSA is spying on the American people. Barack
Yes.
Obama cracks down on whistleblowers and forces Snowden to exile in Russia.
Yeah, which is bad.
Yeah, good job, Obama.
Again, we're back to that whole like restricting free speech thing. Not great.
Yeah, because God forbid someone tries to expose the government doing bad things.
Hmm.
Drone strikes, that's a very Obama thing. When you think of Obama, you think of drone
Yes.
strikes.
Sure do.
So, while it seems like at this point in time, Republicans love deploying troops, Democrats love deploying drones.
Yes.
He also ended up helping to fund ISIS rebels to overthrow Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. What I mean by this is the U.S. funds Turkey. Turkey funds ISIS. ISIS, invades Iraq and Syria.
Yeah.
It has backfired, however, because Syria not only has won the civil war, but now Bashar al-Assad in Syria is more popular than ever. So good job,
Yeah.
Obama. Like, if you want,
Yeah,
if you,
and ISIS has only grown, so
yeah.
yikes.
He is the first president to support same-sex marriage, though really he just hopped on the bandwagon when the percentage points reached 51% in favor of same-sex marriage. There are previous clips of him mentioning that he had not supported it before, and while I do believe he could have had a change of heart, he, and it sort of did seem a little like on the nose.
It definitely does, yeah.
With that being said,
And I think
though,
that's
good
kind
on
of
him
a lot of the
for.
case for a lot of. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For
No,
that,
you good.
with that being said, it is still a good precedence that he decided to do that.
Yes, I agree.
And this,
Yeah.
of course, this also when Pride Month is really starts to get recognized.
Yep.
He promised change in his campaign. However, to be honest, most stayed the same.
Yeah. Pretty
So,
much.
uh,
Again, another recurring trend.
so unfortunately, with Obama, the optimism kind of died down once everyone realized he was kind of just going to do the same, kind of keep to the trend and not do too much.
Yep.
In his second term, he helped heal relations with Cuba. He ended up opening diplomatic ties with Cuba again. Wealth disparity got worse under him.
Yep.
Of course, it doesn't help that Bush bailed out the banks and businesses. That's part
That's
of
true.
why.
Yeah. Yep.
And really, later in his second term, you see a lot of political unrest, a lot of civil unrest as well. This is around the time when Black Lives Matter starts to appear. This is when this is when police brutality really becomes a focal issue. The Ferguson riots, in Ferguson, Missouri.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Unfortunately, Obama did not do very much to ease racial tensions. He kind of just stood by and let it happen. And I don't know if he could have done too much about racial tensions, but
exactly.
by doing nothing, it really did not go anywhere.
No.
And his and Bush's presidency are a good part responsible of how Trump became president.
Yes.
And honestly, in a lot of ways, Obama to me is kind of the embodiment of Steve Buscemi with the famous "How do you do, fellow kids."
Yeah. Yep.
He does remind me of that. Obama, he isn't the worst. He isn't the best. He sort of exists. His first term was decent. His second term was not so decent.
Yeah.
He's probably... God. Do I want to rank him a D or an E? I'm not sure with him.
I'm not sure. And it's funny, too, because, like, as a kid, growing up right around this era, I was like, I thought he was all right. And then, the older I've gotten, I've started to realize more and more. I was like, maybe not. There's definitely some stuff that you don't really think about
the less
as kid
wishful
or
of a
whatever.
view I have on him.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I want to see what the chat's saying about him. Ayo, fuck Big Pharma.
Yeah, I'm glad we can all agree on that.
Yeah. Obama did give good funding to NASA. That is true. He did.
That's a good thing in my
start
book.
the revitalization of NASA, which Trump helped accelerate. So, good on him, because I do like us going to space again. I thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
I'm really stuck between D and E for him.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say E just because we have so many in D tier.
It's just so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Man,
I'm not really sure.
I don't know with him.
Yeah, it's a really tough one, honestly.
Well, I wonder what your friend says in chat. Where do we think about him? Where we think he's D or E? Because I feel like it would have been helpful to have RDC here to like break up the tie.
Yeah, seriously.
Because I'm kind of like, because he can really fall into either category and I'll be okay, but I don't know which one he is.
Yeah.
It really depends on what parts of his presidency you're looking at. Really, honestly, his second term was pretty bad. And it kind of makes me not like
it
him.
Really was. Yeah.
You'd say D.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go
D
with
tier,
D. Honestly, that's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, I think so.
I was really stuck between those two, kind of.
Yes, me too.
God, those D and E tiers, god damn.
Yeah, we have so many in there.
I mean, just for
Yeah,
reference, at
he
the
did
rest
have a
of
really
it,
good character. I agree with that. Yeah.
yeah.
He was very well spoken. He was like he was I liked him because he was funny. Like he would tie in humor during speeches, and I kind of like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's definitely a
aside
guy I
from
could
that,
actually like talk to and have an enjoyable conversation with him at the very least.
yeah, I agree as well.
All right. And he was a great campaigner. That is very true. That's something to always note.
He was, yeah,
All right.
yeah, he was a cool guy.
And technically not our
Yeah,
last because I think we'll speak on Biden a little bit. But
yeah,
45th
I don't know if we
president.
can rank him quite yet, but we'll definitely talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, I think we'll. I don't think we'll rank Biden at all. I think we'll mention him.
Yeah.
At least a little bit of what his
Yep.
early. I still have some of his early policy learned down.
Yeah.
All right, we got 45th president of the United States, Orange Man. What do we think about Orange Man?
Yeah. Oh God, where to even begin? I think he kind of falls in the line of like Ronald Reagan for me, as a sense of like
Oh God, yeah.
we wonder what would happen in the sense of like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and elect a celebrity as president. Like I genuinely cannot understand why people ever thought that was a good idea. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you reap. It's a you reap what you sow kind of thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, honestly, my opinion on this man, not very great.
No.
For many, many
I don't
reasons.
have an amazingly high opinion on him either. Though I will mention
Yeah.
that I don't quite have the same. I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna end up ranking him F tier quite. I don't know if I'm gonna go quite that.
No.
Way. But I definitely do not see
Yeah,
him going
I don't think
higher
so
than a
either.
D tier. I don't.
Yeah.
So he
Same
will
here.
probably
Same
be
here.
similar to Obama in the sense he will be ranked between D or E by the time this list
I
ends.
think so.
My early guess is I'm probably gonna put him in E, but we'll reach that verdict here in a few minutes.
Yes.
Of course, Donald Trump, our first billionaire president. He's also he was a real estate mogul, but though a controversial one due to prior lawsuits stating that he would not allow African Americans to reside in his apartments.
Yikes.
He was an entrepreneur. He had a menswear brand at one point. He had bottled water and a steak named after him. So he had Trump steaks.
Yeah.
He was also
in Home Alone 2.
He was in Home Alone 2. That's true. That alone could make him S tier. Just fucking.
Yeah.
He was a reality TV star. He was on a few shows. He was on that. Oh my god, what is that show called? There's one show he was on that was really popular. Oh, Celebrity Apprentice or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. He was also in The Little Rascals, right?
Oh god, was he? I think he might have.
I think he was. Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking that up. That's funny as fuck. If
I was
that's
like,
true.
I kind of want to look now. Yeah. Because I remember, I think he was in the stands during the race scene or whatever. I think he was in the stands.
God. All right, Yeah, I'm searching that up. Actually, that's funny. That's funny as fuck. Oh my god, he actually was. I'm not gonna play that
He was,
video
I
because
thought
I'll probably get
so.
copyrighted. Yeah, he was. He was actually in the stands.
Probably,
You're
yeah.
right. Oh god.
Yep. There we go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like I remember seeing him, but yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, he made a good amount of cameos in movies. Honestly, if he had probably just stuck to making cameos, he might have been seen in a more positive light in modern American history.
Yeah. Seriously.
An important thing to mention with Donald Trump, he gave a platform for right wingers and white supremacists. You know, really allowed white supremacists to how not. It was no longer that they were in an echo chamber. They actually had a voice.
Yes.
He gave white supremacists a real voice in American politics, and which has really poorly affected us to this day.
Say the least. Yeah.
Of course, his big thing during his campaign was to build the wall. He sort of built the wall, but he didn't really build it that much. So nothing really
not
came
really.
of that.
Yep.
He also said during the campaign that he would put Hillary in jail. Big whoop, that never happens.
Yeah. Also didn't. Yeah.
One of the criticisms I really have about Trump, and I think a lot of Trump supporters really overlook it, is a lot of the promises he made in his campaign, he really did not abide by in his actual presidency.
No.
And
especially when it comes to like taxes and stuff like that. I don't know if you've read into it, but his tax plan, if he were to be reelected for a second term, it was actually going to raise taxes for most Americans, which he said wasn't going to happen. And that was one of the biggest things that people were anti-Biden for.
Yeah,
and so I think it's really funny when people like complain about that, because like if you don't research your candidates and if you don't look into them, that's where the danger lies, because you have no idea what they're doing. Right?
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
I mean, his whole campaign was his whole campaign and presidency, for that matter, was basically tell people what they want to hear, or tell his supporters what they want to hear, and you know, that's it, right? Don't tell them the truth, just tell them what they want to hear.
Yes, and in doing so, I mean, it created a whole bunch of problems, because a lot of the stuff that people wanted to hear was not good things. So
Trump is probably one of the most divisive presidents in American history as well.
Yeah, I think so.
We've really seen a lot of extremism in American politics in recent years, both on the left and the right, because of him, partly because of him.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who isn't particularly extreme left or right, that does worry me a bit.
And I'm the same way as well. I think extremism both ways is horrible, like really, really bad. And so that's part of why he's ranked so low in my mind, is because of that whole division and how much chaos and problems it can cause, you know.
Exactly.
Because with that, you know, with all that stuff, it sets up like you're empowering people like Mitch McConnell and all that kind of stuff, where they essentially can just wreak havoc, and it's just unchecked, you know. It's just bad.
Fucking turtle,
just bad.
Man. Oh god.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
I don't even want to talk
McConnell.
about him. I don't even want to talk about him.
No. Fuck no. Donald Trump did pull troops out of the Middle East, sort of. He I think reduced the standing amount in the Middle East. So, that's okay, I guess. Though in his campaign, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna send all the troops home," and that didn't happen.
Yeah. Again, another recurring theme with the past couple of presidents.
That's the issue I have with Donald Trump, really, more than anything, is that he promised a lot of stuff that I actually was okay with, and then he didn't do it. So, which is really what makes me not like him more than any of the white supremacist stuff. That actually is what really makes him not like him. Is because he really there was stuff that he promised that I might have been okay with, and he didn't do it.
I think so.
He also assassinated General Soleimani, the Iranian general, without congressional approval. Remember when that happened? He basically drone strikes the dude and killed him. So,
which honestly, I mean, another bad guy, but
yes, another bad guy, but
approval,
you can't just drone strike people. And if you remember, because of that assassination, he basically almost started World War III, because the Iranians were pissed.
Yeah, that was. I remember thinking, damn.
Remember all those jokes in early 2020 about the draft and conscription?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, that was terrible.
I mean, I don't know if I was 100% sold on that, but like, there was a little bit of
there was like a couple of weeks there where it did seem like we could have declared war.
Yeah, it was sketchy, man.
Yeah, scary times, man.
Yep.
Honestly, he probably would be ranked F or B can tier if he got us into World War III. He probably would be F tier at that point if he got us into a world war.
Yep.
Yep. Of course, he also pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord and the Iran nuclear deal. Of course, the Climate Accord, that is the environmental agreement, basically between most of the major nations, basically agreeing that they will limit their use of dependence on fossil fuels and actually try to save the earth.
which
So
is a
pulling out of that
really
basically
bad
said
look.
that the U.S. does not care about the environment in some ways.
Yes.
And the Iran nuclear deal, not great in general. Not
No,
great to
not
pull
at
out of
all.
that, especially when Obama had so recently had gone us into it.
Exactly. It definitely felt like just a big old, middle finger to Obama, honestly. Like some of his
Yeah.
policies definitely felt like that.
All right. Um, he did. Of course, he attempted to repeal Obamacare. That did not end up succeeding.
Yep.
He got close, but it did not go through. The late John McCain was one of the the Republicans that voted against it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, and I don't even like John McCain really, but it's
Yeah,
all right.
he
Fun.
was an interesting character. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. And he also restricted immigration again.
hmm
So Republican thing, I guess, kind of just a trend.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
Another thing, the response to COVID-19 was terrible.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
really
That's a
drags him down. The response to the pandemic,
yes.
basically the idea of ignoring it and hoping it goes away.
Yeah,
And then
really, just
and
horrible.
then at one point basically dismissing it, which made a lot of other people dismiss it as well, which got hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of Americans killed, and we're
hmm
still dying because of it. So,
Yes.
there was also the Muslim ban, of course.
hmm
That
Another.
really
Oof.
solid. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. That's a great thing.
exactly. Of course, the another thing to remind when you talk about Trump, the Trump rallies, right?
hmm
These Trump rallies also fueled a very toxic fan base, because I mean
Yes.
the Trump supporters that you see are basically these religious nuts almost. It seems like
Pretty much. Yeah.
fanatical wackos.
Yeah. It definitely brought out a lot of those, like pretty far right Christian
It gave them a
conservatives, which
platform
yeah, yeah,
in the spotlight. Scary
yep,
stuff.
yeah.
He also started a trade war with China. That went well, said no one ever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
There are a few positives with Trump, though. He's not
hmm
all bad. That's something you have to try to remember when you talk about him. He did
Yes.
pass some criminal justice reform bills.
hmm
Mind you, this is some kind of basic starter pack criminal justice reform, but it was a good
Yeah.
start. It was a good precedence.
Yes.
Basically, I think some of the bills were started to override some of the 1995 the Crime Act that Bill Clinton had passed.
hmm
I think just easing up on nonviolent drug offenses and that sort. So that was good. That did have bipartisan support. I thought that was a good bill.
hmm I think so.
He did keep drone warfare though, so
Yeah.
though it seems like at
I
this
mean,
point every
I don't
president's
think that's
gonna
going away
do
anytime
that.
soon. Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
mind you, the last president of the United States that did not bomb another country was Jimmy Carter. So it's been quite a while.
Yeah, it really has. Yep.
There was also the transgender ban in the military, bans trans people from serving in the U.S. military.
Yeah.
This was this was and still is unpopular, an unpopular
Yes.
opinion. I I do sort of get the rationale, because you could argue that if someone is currently still transitioning as of the time they enlist, you could
Yeah.
argue that the military, they don't want the military to cover the medical cost and the therapeutical
True.
cost.
Yeah.
It could be argued, but to outright ban them is
Mhm.
is
It's a little
excessive.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically barring a group of people from serving their country for just
Yeah. Which
because they're trans. So
yeah, which is not good in my opinion.
it shouldn't
Yeah.
matter what race, creed, or gender you are. You should be able to serve your country in whatever manner
Yes,
if you choose to.
for sure. Yep.
Of course, there's a famous quote with him: "Drain the swamp." Spoiler alert: He did not drain the swamp.
He added to it, if anything.
Really disappointing, actually. It's one of my biggest disappointments with
Yeah.
him is that he really did not. He was, because you could say he was an outsider, but he did not drain the swamp. He kind of made it worse.
No, not at all. Yeah, pretty much. Which again,
Of course, he went with the America First policy. The idea that America comes first. That is not necessarily a bad thing. The way he went about it, though, was pretty piss poor.
I agree. Yeah.
He did hold historic meetings with North Korea with Kim Jong-un. I thought this was a great.
That's true.
I thought this was a great way to ease tensions in Asia.
Yes,
I would agree. I have seen people that are saying.
Big thing. I was like,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was like, yeah, that was definitely one of the things. I was like, you know what? That's actually a pretty good thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I have seen some critics of that say that, that means the U.S. is recognizing Kim Jong-un as a leader. Visiting him does not you mean you recognize him or support him.
No, I don't think so.
America visits other countries all the time, like Russia, and we don't like Russia.
Yeah.
But we still visit them and talk to them.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, if Trump visiting helped ease tensions between North and South Korea for at least a little while. So, I think there is a good there are good things that can come of that.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's see. Of course, with Donald Trump, you have to think of Twitter. Basically, the Twitter war.
The whole idea of like a president of the United States tweeting is it's so absurd to me. It's kind of hilarious. Yeah. I mean, in this day and age with technology, it makes a lot of sense, but it's so funny to me.
Oh God, hot mess. Yeah.
It just seems like extremely informal and just like a cesspool, and it's something else.
Exactly.
I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah.
He's also the only president to be impeached twice. How you managed to get impeached twice is pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know how hard it is to get impeached twice. I feel like
yeah.
Donald Trump is on that fucking impeach speed run.
Oh yeah, seriously. Any percent just.
Oh God. Yeah. Mans knew how to upset the House of Representatives and Congress. He knew how to upset Congress. Yeah. Holy fuck.
Yeah, seriously.
It's a recurring theme in my notes. Fanatic followers, basically Trump cult type of thing.
Oh yeah. Yep.
There you go. And think about it this way, right? We don't have a Biden cult. We don't have a Kamala Harris cult. Why do we have a Trump cult?
No, we really don't. It's just strange. And I think a lot of people tend to argue against that well, it wasn't really a full Trump cult thing. But then you see the amount of people that have just their yards just chock full of signs.
Well, they got a Trump flag, they got a Trump hat, they got a Trump shirt, they got a Trump bumper sticker.
And all that stuff is it's not a bad thing, but you've never seen that before.
Well, it's
any other you see it around our election time, but any other time, never.
It's that level. It's just the level of fanaticism.
Part of that was it's just unsettling to me.
It is
to watch. It's I don't know.
It's scary how
it's a little unnerving.
It's scary how obsessed they are. Seemingly, they're so obsessed.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's scary. It really is.
Probably speaks volumes to the amount of people. Yeah, I think it speaks volumes to the type of fan base he had, the people that followed him, and all that kind of stuff. I think it really speaks volumes to that.
And that being said, there are
fan base about it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That being said,
no, you're good.
It really gives the normal Trump supporters a really bad rap, because there are plenty of normal Republican people that aren't fucking lunatics. But then you have this minority of the Trump fan base that is total fanatical freaks, and it's it really draws you away from him.
It does. It really does.
Scary
and
stuff.
I think that was one of the biggest things that really made me just dislike him was the amount of just crazy fanatic, honestly, just bullshit stuff that got started from that, honestly. Like
Exactly.
the amount of mistrust in like health professionals and all that kind of stuff was huge for me because I mean, going into that sort of field, the amount of people now that are very, very against it is really disappointing. And people against science in general, I think that's
Yeah.
always been a really, really bad thing,
Very
you know, because
harmful.
you get, yeah, you get the whole anti-vax movement and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you even just talking about coronavirus in general, right? I'm looking at the current death toll, and we're at about 604,000 total deaths for America, right?
Yep.
So even if there was misreports from, you know, hospitals and health services and all that kind of stuff like there was claims of, let's factor in like what, 10% error, right?
Okay.
So that's 543,600 people that still died, right?
Mm.
And 10% error, statistically speaking, and from a scientific standpoint, is huge. Like that's
Yes.
virtually like if that happens, it's a massive, massive problem. And so, you know, all the claims of all that kind of stuff is just insane. Like even if it was 50% error, that's 302,000 deaths.
Yep.
That's still one of the largest crises to ever affect America, you know?
Absolutely absurd. Yeah.
Even if there was massive amounts of error, like they mentioned, it's still an awful, awful tragedy. One of the worst, if not the worst, to ever hit the United States.
Yeah.
So stuff like that just really just it's invalidating for me being in the scientific field and just yeah, it's just frustrating and it's dangerous more than anything. So, yeah.
Exactly. And kind of going on to the anti-science Trump cult movement, that also leads us to when we talk about the July 6th riots in DC.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yep.
storming of the Capitol building, right? You know,
Yeah. Seriously.
because never before have we had an election or post-election where not only has the incumbent basically refused to concede, but also had a couple of his fanboy posses storm the United States Capitol building. You know?
Yeah.
And I get it; it's not all Republicans, but it does make you
of
look bad when
course.
you are supporting when you are supporting, at least in the background, a group of people that are willing to storm the Capitol building in attempt to, if not kill, at least harm, United States representatives.
Which is just it it's almost inconceivable. Like when it was happening, I almost didn't even I thought
Yeah,
it was like a
I
staged
saw
like
the
fake
news
thing.
on it, and I was
It
like,
was
that sounds
ridiculous.
fake. Like I thought it was fake at first. I was like, there's no fucking way that's happening. And mind you,
Yeah.
I only live a
It's just
couple of hours away
ridiculous.
from the Capitol, so.
Yeah.
And I there was people in my area that had gone there. Like I know there was a couple of those
Oh
Trump
God, yeah.
freaks that had gone there.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure
And
there was
to
some
know
around
I
here
was
too.
living
I'm
that they were living among me, right?
yeah. It's just
I was gonna
yeah.
say
It's
among us, but then that's fucking sus like
yeah.
that.
Oh God, yeah. But it's just stuff like that is just incredibly concerning,
It is.
and it really just I'm like it almost leads me to wonder like how long has this been a thing?
Yeah.
Like how long have these people felt this way? And like all of a sudden now it's like I
Yeah.
guess not really acceptable, but it's almost like a viable. The fact that we're even making it seem like a viable option is really bad.
Yeah, exactly. I
It's
mean,
just
we haven't
yeah,
seen this level of extremism since like the 60s,
yeah,
It's
which is
insane.
insane.
I know.
Yeah, and another huge thing too that I really disliked was the amount of family members he appointed to his cabinet that had virtually zero experience in that field,
Oh my
anything of
gosh,
the
yes.
sort, which is really, really bad idea considering you're literally in charge of like that whole sector of the government. And it's like, that's a problem. You know, how
Mm.
he appointed essentially an oil baron to the EPA,
Oh god.
stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, that's probably not gonna end up doing super well.
Yeah,
There's
Um,
there's just so
the
much.
the retired the retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson was appointed to the Department of Housing. I'm pretty sure in the cabinet. It was either the
Yeah.
Department of Housing or Department of Commerce. A fucking neurosurgeon, because that makes sense.
Yeah, seriously.
I
It's
like I
just
like Ben Carson.
stuff like that. It's just, oh
I
God,
like Ben
it's
Carson.
bad.
I think Ben Carson's cool. I actually have my family also has a personal relationship with Ben Carson, which kind of
Oh wow.
biased, but
Yeah, there
Ben
you go.
Carson should not be on the housing Department of Housing. I'm gonna check that. It's like Ben Carson was like the Department of Housing or Department of Commerce or something like that. It was
Yeah.
insane. Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, no, here we go. He was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Urban Development.
Oh
Ben
yeah,
Carson,
yeah, yeah.
neurosurgeon, by the way, not a fucking like.
Yep.
That's like why? Why is he? I don't know.
Uh,
Um,
yeah. It's just stuff like that too. Is
just
just
very incompetent
again
cabinet
chips
picks.
away at it.
And remember
Yeah.
I think the person he picked for like either was it Secretary of Education or something like that, Department of Education,
Oh
Betsy
God. Yeah.
DeVos, or I believe her
Betsy
name.
DeVos.
Oh
Oh
God,
yeah.
terrible
Oh, I
pick.
could go on and on about her. So bad.
His
So
cabinet
bad.
picks were terrible, like incompetent
Yeah, which I
mess.
think contributes a lot to my overall opinion of him and all that kind of stuff because it
Well, he
when
basically
you
just put a bunch of
have
his crony
not only
friends in there.
failures, yeah, when you have a failure as a president, sure, that's bad. I mean, but I mean, look at the tier list. It's happened time and time again. But when you have that along with cabinet members that were purposefully placed there on purpose, it's just, oh, it's so
Oh
bad. It's
God,
so bad.
yeah, it's fucking
There's just so
terrible.
many things. And like, yeah, another thing too is like the whole distrust of Dr. Fauci now too is just
Yeah,
really unfortunate considering he's the most highly educated, most reputable person we have when it comes to epidemiology and
in
virology.
the United
And now
States, yeah,
he's kind of like a joke to like 50% of the population
exactly.
for virtually no reason. And that feeds into again with the whole like being against science thing, right? Because I mean, at the start, he did say that masks weren't really a thing that would help, and through observation of data and collection of statistical evidence and all that kind of stuff, we found that that was wrong. But now there's a whole massive group of people that think that, well, he was wrong once, that means he's going to be wrong every time, and people don't understand that that's the entire nature of science,
Yeah,
right? Is figuring out what's wrong and then being like, well, let's do what's right then. Like that's how you figure out stuff. You can't just expect to do everything right on the first try.
oh God, yeah.
So yeah, that the whole distrust of science is just really, really just it's a looming thing for me. It's scary because honestly, everything that we've essentially accomplished in the past few hundred years as a nation was because of science, and now all of a sudden, all of that just got flipped on its head in like 4 to 8 years.
It's
It's
scary.
just it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's scary. It really is.
A couple of last things to mention with Trump. Of course, the race
Yeah.
riots, the death of George Floyd.
Mhm.
Actually, by the way, I think it was either yesterday or a couple of days ago. Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison.
Yes, I saw
Got what
that.
he
Yep.
deserved. I did see some comments.
Yes, I
I
agree.
will put my little 2 cents on it. I did see some comments saying that he should have gotten life, but
Hmm.
the issue I have with that is in our criminal justice system to get life imprisonment for like I think for unintentional murder or whatever they charged him for. I think it was second degree unintentional murder, and I think he
I
got a
think it
manslaughter
was,
charge
yeah.
stacked on as well. In order to get
Yep.
life sentence for murder, it has to be premeditated. I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
And
Yeah.
and while it
Which
and
is
how and despite how
yeah.
unfortunate that is, how unfortunate that situation is, it was not a premeditated murder. Chauvin
Yes.
did not wake up that morning and say I was going to kill this guy.
Hmm.
It doesn't
Yep.
it doesn't excuse it, of course, but
Oh, no, yeah.
also I saw some comments about the death penalty. I don't support the death penalty,
Yeah, I really don't either.
so it's I mean, I think the precedence of us just killing people because they did wrong, it's, and that, mind you, we also have
Yep.
there's plenty of cases where we've had people on death row and then it turns out they're innocent. So,
All that kind of stuff too.
and,
Yeah,
and
the
actually,
whole
and
criminal
the
justice
interesting
system
thing
is
as
really
well is
messed
it
up
actually
at the
is
moment.
cheaper. It's cheaper for taxpayer dollars for them to rot in prison than it is for them to get executed. So,
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
something to think about.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Um, and then honestly, God, I might be thinking an F for him actually, because I'm thinking about like the fact that he didn't concede the election, his rejection of science, his terrible cabinet
The more
picks.
things, the more things we mention, the more I'm reminded of
I
how
know.
bad things actually were, and
I'm
even
really starting to
the
think about it.
small things he did were okay, but the amount of just absolutely abhorrent things, I think, just outweighs it by far.
Yeah, exactly.
There was something else too that just popped in my mind, and I'm trying to remember what it was because it was another like big thing. Oh. But yeah, if you wanted to say some or whatever, I'll try to remember here.
God, I'm tempted to rank him an F because I'd probably rank it if it was just him by himself. It would probably be E. But his surrounding cast was fucking awful.
Just absolutely
kind
terrible.
of similar with Bush. Like Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld were fucking terrible.
Oh God. Yeah, just completely terrible.
And that really weighs down Bush as well. So it's kind of like
yeah.
that might be where we go. I don't know if you have any final thoughts on this before we continue.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Oh no.
Shoot. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, nothing I would have said would have helped him at all. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean,
I could see that, Robert. I think I'm probably gonna have to relent and give him an E just so that
honestly.
God, that's
yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah. I
do actually really like the criminal justice reform. The economy was actually not doing too bad before COVID.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
So it's like,
but then again, I mean, a lot of that kind of stuff too. People usually buy into that. Economy is never directly affected by presidents. It's almost always a trend, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't anything particular that Trump put into place as far as legislation that directly contributed to the economy, as far as I'm aware. So I think in general, a lot of that he inherited from the end of the Obama era. But yeah,
Trump was.
I'm no economist by any means,
but
of course, that's my understanding.
Trump was good for the meme economy, though. Actually, it's good for.
He was, yeah. If there's one thing I'll give him, he was very good for that.
Yeah. Oh God. So, yeah, he's. I do agree with Robert though. If we were gonna put Trump in F, we'd have to drop Obama down a spot. We'd have to drop it down to E. So.
Yeah. I think so.
So I think that's where our rankings will stand. Before we get going here, I think we'll quickly talk about Biden's. Quick rundown of what it's not much right now. He's only been in office for a few months, but just a quick rundown on some of his policies here, that he's in bills. Of course, so another thing I asked before we get to Biden. Another thing with Trump is I think he's actually partly responsible for possibly inspiring change much sooner than it would have come otherwise. At least for liberals,
I think
right?
So. Yeah, I think so.
Because I think it gave liberals extra resolve and determination to get shit done.
After the past 4 years, we were definitely like,
And I think you're starting to see that with Biden a little bit, actually. Even if I don't think he's great.
I think so too.
So Joe Biden, he passed the $1.9 trillion coronavirus and economic relief bill, which was big.
Yeah.
He ended up rejoining the Paris Climate Accord and Iran nuclear deals, which are fine by me. I don't really mind either of those.
I think those are both good things.
Overruled the trans ban in the military. He also re-recognized Pride Month which President Trump before him had
thing.
not.
Yep.
He improved relations with American allies post-Trump, as Trump had, there's very tense relationships with a lot of nations, which is something we didn't mention.
Yeah, for sure.
He imposed sanctions on Russia. He also enacted the idea of normalcy. He is literally the 21st century version of Warren G. Harding. Based the idea of let's get back to normal after a turbulent presidency. Let's be quiet and settle down a little bit. I do give credit with Joe Biden in that case. I kind of do like how things have seemingly settled down a bit.
I think so.
Joe Biden is still a pretty bad president, but I do kind of like the quiet that we've had recently. It's been pretty.
Yes.
I do like waking up in the morning not seeing something about Trump in the news for the 20 millionth
Oh my
time.
God, yeah. Yeah, it's insane.
The unemployment rate's going down, jobs are returning, as the coronavirus pandemic winds down slightly. Interesting thing to note with the job market is it also seems like there's a lot of people that are staying out of work, interestingly enough, whether that's because of COVID or lack of motivation or whatever, but something just to note with that. So while unemployment is overall going down and more jobs are being added to the more jobs, or more people are getting jobs, there are still a good portion of people who are seemingly refusing to work. Just something to note.
And I think a lot of that is probably due to current minimum wage status in America, and I think there's more and more people that are starting to realize how out of whack the whole wealth disparity thing is right now, especially considering minimum wage and all that kind of stuff. I think that's probably the majority of why that is. Is there's almost no sense in working if you're almost giving your life away for not a whole lot,
I do agree with Robert in his comment. The stimulus package was not great.
And I think a lot of that was
very watered down.
To,
Democrats wanted to add a lot of add-on stuff. Republicans wanted to take a lot away. I actually thought both of their proposals are fucking terrible, personally. Because the Democrat one had some weird money allotted for stuff that was totally unnecessary. I'm trying to think of what that was specifically, and
it was a lot of money too. I think some of the stuff was for overseas, some, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something really whacking out of left field.
Yeah, it was. I think it was some sort of studies or college fund or something.
Yeah, it was like gender studies.
I think that's what it was. It was like Afghan. I think it was Afghanistan gender studies. I was like, okay.
I think that is the most modern democratic thing ever
I've ever seen. Yeah.
Instead of actually trying to help us and stuff, it's virtue signaling, really. Which, I mean, not that gender studies is a bad thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But
we don't need that in our economic stimulus package. Come on now.
No.
Let's make that a separate bill, guys.
There's a time and a place for that, and this is not the time nor the place. So.
Yeah, exactly. I also don't know how many people in Afghanistan are fucking jumping up and down about goddamn gender studies. Or I think it was Pakistan.
Exactly,
actually.
yeah.
That was the bill.
That's what Robert's saying. Pakistan. Yep.
God, that's people in I don't know if people in Pakistan are jumping up and down about that stuff.
I doubt it. Yeah.
So Joe Biden and his administration has also planned on passing the some big infrastructure plan. I am kind of a civil engineering nerd and a transportation nerd, so I actually love that. That thing's gonna be hell of expensive, but I like the idea of reamping our infrastructure for the 21st century.
Yeah,
no matter what the cost is.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. So I live in Michigan, right, and we are very much known for bad roads, very bad roads, and honestly, that impacts so much more than you would realize. So honestly, that kind of stuff would be really, really, really beneficial, I think. I would
really like to see an Eisenhower huge infrastructure overhaul that we saw in the 50s. That's much needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because and unfortunately, I don't know how much of it's gonna pass in the Senate,
Yeah,
because
especially given how
what's gonna happen,
like
right, is the
divided
Republicans are
it
going
is
to
right
be
now.
like, well, we can't spend that much. That's huge government spending. As
Yeah,
they let the debt fucking soar. Like, they're gonna just pretend that like
exactly.
it matters.
Oh yeah.
And then the
Yep.
Democrats are gonna be like, okay, fine, we're gonna water it down. We're gonna water down the shit out of it so that now it's shitty. So it's like
Hmm. Yeah,
unfortunate that that's the
that's
way it
probably
is.
what's gonna happen. Yeah, and I think that's been a case where there's something that's proposed that's a big change that's supposed to help, and then you know Democrats tend to introduce that kind of stuff, and then Republicans immediately are like, "That's expensive. That's not gonna happen," and then it gets reduced to
A
not
shelf
really doing
itself,
much.
and then
Yeah,
when it's actually
which kind of
and then when
sucks.
it's enacted, it's a shelf its former self, and then people are like, well, I don't like this because it's a shelf its former self, and then we get
Yep,
nowhere.
exactly. Yeah.
In reality, what will probably happen with the infrastructure plan is it will probably pass, but it will be watered down and will only affect like maybe major cities or something. It's because
Yeah, that's what I'll
the
guess as well.
infrastructure plan Biden proposing is like this huge, broad, like overhaul everything. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's definitely what it looks like. Yep.
and honestly, holy fuck, I kind of want to see that. I don't like. I know it's gonna be
Yeah,
expensive
honestly, I
as
do.
hell, and we're probably gonna they're probably gonna raise taxes for it. But hey,
I think, yeah, that's
we
one
live
of
in a
those things where,
society.
like, personally, when I get my paycheck, I'm like, oh, great taxes. But like, there's certain things where I'm very much okay with being taxed a little more for, like when it comes to like healthcare, stuff like that, infrastructure. I think at this point it's so bad
Oh,
that
God,
I would be more than happy to pay more taxes if it means that someone doesn't have to go into debt to get insulin that they need to survive, you know?
exactly. Yeah,
That kind of
I
stuff
agree.
for me is like I really don't care. If I know that my tax money is going directly to help people with that kind of stuff, I'm very much okay with that, you know. So,
True.
but yeah,
Um,
that's just my personal view on
yeah.
stuff like that.
Robert makes up a good point. Your friend's kind of he got some good points he making in chat today. I actually like that. I
Yeah.
like that you brought him in here actually because that's been
Yeah.
very good for the conversation. Um,
And he's definitely more knowledgeable on a lot
uh,
of this history
I
stuff
can
and all that kind
tell
of stuff than I am.
he's
So,
intelligent, man. He's been spitting
yes,
facts all night. Holy fuck.
he's a good man.
I
Yeah.
I like what he's proposing though. If they used, because they could, I think that's what would be really good if they used if they used private contracting for a lot of these projects instead of because instead of using like the federal
Hmm.
contractors, using the private ones and helping them build a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
I could definitely
I think
approve
that
of
would be
that.
huge.
I think that would be better actually in
Yeah.
some ways because I think the private sector could do a better job than the public sector in a lot of ways.
Probably. Yeah.
Of course, with regulations, of course, but I think that could
Yeah.
definitely work.
For sure. Yeah.
Private sector definitely has more incentive to do it than the public sector for sure.
Oh
If
yeah.
there's money in it for them,
Oh,
private
absolutely.
sector will
Yep.
work their ass off if they got good money. If they got good money offered to
Yeah, for
them.
sure.
Um,
Yep.
there you go. Let's see here. A couple last things on Biden. He ended the Keystone
Hmm.
Pipeline project. Of course, that was Keystone
Yep.
XL.
That's right.
Um,
Hmm.
I'm fine with this. Like, I know there's some people that say, "Oh, it's a pipeline," it's like money, right? You
Yeah.
know, but they were gonna,
But again,
in order
at
to
what
dig it though,
cost?
they were gonna have to build through Native American lands. There's a hilarious
Yeah,
video
which is bad.
where this surveyor offered these natives like fucking like some bottle of water and beef jerky so that they could fucking
Oh
give up their
no.
lands.
Yikes. Yeah.
It was, and then there's like a Fallout meme of it where it's like charisma zero. So,
I can't even
fucking
I,
terrible.
I
I need
can't
to
even
find that
believe that
video. That was
actually
absolutely
happened. That's
terrible.
hilarious.
Yeah, I'll have to. I might
Oh,
link it to you after the
yikes.
stream because that was absolutely
Yeah,
horrendous.
please do. Oh God. Yeah.
Um, he also ended the Muslim ban. Um,
Hmm. Okay.
he vowed support for DACA once again. Of course, DACA is the Dreamers Act.
Oh yeah.
Basically
Yep.
for the sons and daughters of immigrants, basically allow them to attend college and get an education.
That's good.
I'm fine with that, honestly, because I believe the American dream, try to get a better life for your children.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
But they're illegal, people will say. Okay, whatever.
Oh God.
Your
Yeah.
parents are probably
I get
illegal
it.
immigrants as well, whatever. It's like
Yep.
your great
And
grandparents are
if
probably
not your
illegal,
parents,
so
somewhere back in your family tree, I can almost guarantee it.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last thing I
That's
have written
another thing I
down,
could talk for hours about. But
exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Last thing I've written down for Biden is the jury is still out on him. It's too early to tell with him. Honestly, if I had to do like a right now ranking on Biden, we don't have a picture of him in this list, but if we had to do a right now ranking,
Yes.
he's probably E as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
I
there
think
hasn't been a lot, so not a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
That infrastructure plan though
He's passed.
looks sick.
Yeah. If it goes through and it goes through the way it's mentioned, I think that'll definitely bump him up a tier,
Yeah.
at least, because that's huge. But yeah, I mean, he did some good stuff for the environment and some stuff with that, but I think a lot of it, again, was just kind of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just to kind of appease stuff without, it was enough to create some hope without actually putting anything big in place, which again seems to be kind of the theme of modern democratic politicians. So
Exactly.
I honestly expected it, so.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Robert, AP Gov was one of my favorite classes to take in high school.
I regret not
the
taking
discussion. I loved the discussion in AP Gov. It was a lot of fun.
It's essentially like this.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
dig this kind of stuff. I'm actually happy we
It's
set
great,
this up
yeah.
because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it at first, but now that we've actually done it, I'm like, wow, this was actually a lot of fun.
It really was, yeah. And it's cool to get, the views of, I mean, even you, but like it's cool to just see people
Talk
in
about
chat
it and
talking,
have
like,
yeah. Talk about it
the fact that,
objectively,
like,
right? And just be able to
Yeah.
discuss without, like screaming and, doing whatever.
yes.
It's just
Yeah.
nice to have a nice chat about it, I feel like. And it's nice that
Yeah,
that we have people in chat, that have been like, bringing
Yeah.
their opinions in. I really hope this video is the one
Especially
that blows
today
up.
too. Yeah.
I hope this is the one that
Yeah.
blows up so we can talk, so like we can get comments, and feedback.
Yep.
Because there definitely are
Yeah,
people
if
that are going to
anything,
disagree
this
with
one
us, but I'm
will.
curious to see what they think, really, because I really am actually,
Yeah.
I really do want to see what people do think of these presidents.
Because like I don't know if you've ever looked through your YouTube demographics or whatever. I've never gotten enough views to really get a fair judge. But I'm sure most of your viewers are probably right around our age, where a lot of these more modern presidents are definitely a lot more memorable and stuff like that. So I think this video for sure will draw more people in because they know more about, modern events and stuff like that. So
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. I've considered making a separate channel just for like this kind of stuff, like history
Yeah,
and politics and whatnot.
yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Because of course, doing it on like this channel where I have like fucking Timefall montages is a little out of left field. But,
Yeah.
so
That's also too, and I mean, honestly, if I'd be really like, I'd be very happy continuing on with like, if we want to do like a vice president's one, or like even just topics of like global politics and all that kind of stuff. I'd be down to do that.
No, this has been a lot of fun. Quickly before we go, I'll just recap our list for people that are tuning in, and for people who are watching the replay. All right, so we'll go from top to bottom. So in the S tier, we have Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. If we were going in order of S tier, it would be as shown. Abraham Lincoln would be number 1, Teddy would be number 2. In A tier, we have George Washington and FDR. And similar story here, George Washington would probably be 3 and FDR would be 4. Though it's really, those two are interchangeable in my eyes, depending on where you want to rank them.
Yeah, I think so too.
B tier, we have Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, William McKinley, Howard Taft, Coolidge, Eisenhower, and JFK. All right. And in C tier, we have John Adams, excuse me. Then we have John Quincy. Then we have Polk, Taylor, Arthur, and LBJ. All right. And for D tier, we have a lot of guys. We have Grant, Hayes, Cleveland, Harrison, Hoover, Truman, Nixon, Reagan, H.W. Bush, Clinton, and Obama all in D tier. Holy crap. All right. E tier, we got Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, Millard Fillmore, Woodrow Wilson, Warren G. Harding, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, and Donald Trump. And in F tier, we have good old John Tyler, Franklin Pierce, Andrew Johnson, and George W. Bush. And in the Buchanan tier, all by himself, we got good old James Buchanan, everyone's favorite. And in the question mark tier, these are guys we could decide not to rank. We have William Henry Harrison and James Garfield. Very quickly before we go here, since we've done this recap, I kind of want to see where these guys rank in order. Honestly, because I'm kind of thinking like, what order would we actually put these guys in? Like if we were doing it in order, right?
Yeah.
Now Buchanan's 46. He's 46th.
Yes.
So I guess it could be. I guess it's time to be 45th because it's 45 men. Because Grover Cleveland had to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Andrew Johnson's probably 44. Actually, God, I kind of want to. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna pull out like the notepad. Here we go. Because I'm actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I actually kind of want to list this up.
Yep.
Okay. So actually, I guess we could just do from best to worst instead of worst to best.
Yeah, that might be a little easier.
So we'll put Lincoln number 1, Teddy number 2. What about FDR and Washington? Who do we put in third? Sort of.
I'm leaning more towards Washington.
Go.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just put Washington. That's fine. I mean, they're so highly ranked. It's like whatever.
They are. Yeah.
Deal with it. FDR's not gonna cry if he gets number 4 instead of 3. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Number 5. Oh God, I'm thinking about this B tier now.
Yeah. These are honestly the whole
after
middle section is going to be very tough.
after A, it's like fucking difficult. I guess Jefferson. I probably put Jefferson. Jefferson. Oh God. Fuck. God, this is why I didn't want to rank it in order until the very end because it's so difficult.
Yeah.
I guess Monroe.
D tier is going to be brutal.
Oh God, yeah, it is. Monroe. What about, okay, so who do we put after Jefferson Monroe? Maybe Eisenhower? Do we think that highly of Eisenhower? I think Eisenhower's pretty good. Eisenhower?
Yeah, I think so, especially through infrastructure stuff.
Probably JF.
Yeah. It is, yeah. I think a lot of them are on very equal footing, in my opinion. So, like, it's so much harder to actually rank them in order in that case.
I guess. I mean, honestly, these are really probably not correct, and I'll probably look back at this and be like, "Oh God, what the fuck was I thinking?" But we're just gonna.
Yeah.
Addison. I think I'll put Coolidge next. Coolidge. I think Taft, and then McKinley.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that's true. Hmm. Ooh. Oh, LBJ's picture is just haunting me. It does, yeah.
Oh God. No, actually, Let's just go John. Let's go regular. Let's go regular John, then Quincy.
Mhm.
Um, so I put Polk. I guess I'll put Arthur, and then I guess Taylor would be the last for C tier. That's probably about right. D tier. Oh, God. This is so fucking wild. Actually, it's like
Yeah.
because like doing this in
Oh
order
man.
is cursed because
It is.
it
It's
is
very
really quite
cursed.
difficult to rank them in order in such a manner.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Who's the best of D tier? Oh God, I don't like any of these guys that much. I guess
No.
Truman. I guess Truman probably be the best
I
of.
guess
I
so,
guess.
yeah.
Ugh. See, because D
Maybe
tier's
not
when it
best,
starts
but
getting the people I don't like
least
as
bad,
much.
I guess. Yeah.
Nixon. I guess Nixon. Well, that seems about right. I guess. Um, let's see. Ugh. I don't. God, I don't like this at all.
Hmm.
Grant.
Yeah, it's just oof. You.
I guess that's actually I'm gonna go Reagan then Grant. It seems weird to rank
Mhm.
Reagan Grant. Uh, HW Bill. Gonna go Cleveland. Ugh,
Mhm.
this is so weird. Obama, I guess that's where Obama would go. Okay, Obama. My
Obama.
typing gaffes are kind of funny sometimes. Um, I'm probably gonna go Hoover. Then we already put Cleveland. Probably be Hayes. Then Harrison. All right, and then E tier. Fuck me, God, this because this is when the guys are starting to become like fucking awful. So it's like,
Yeah. It's like, how do you even rank something like that, you know?
yeah, exactly. I guess Ford. God, that's so weird though. Fuck, I'll put Harding there. I guess.
I I almost
No,
forgot
I don't
about
want.
Ford.
I can't put I can't put Harding over Wilson. That seems kind of fucked.
Mhm.
Wilson then Harding. Uh, Probably Fillmore at this point. I guess Fillmore.
Mhm.
Uh,
Ooh. Yeah. No, I don't think so. uh, yeah, a little bit.
I'll actually go Andrew Johnson above Tyler, and then
Mhm.
yeah, no, actually, never mind. No, I'll go Tyler. John Tyler didn't get fucking impeached, so
True. Yeah,
Bush.
that's
I'll go
true.
Bush. Then George Bush, the second worst president in American history. That's fucked. That's so fucked, actually.
Yeah.
That's about right, though. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Let's do this list. So, from top to bottom, let's see. Lincoln, Teddy, Washington, Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, mind you, Jefferson, Monroe, and this is by no means a complete list. This is like a shitty, rushed list. Eisenhower, JFK, Madison, Coolidge, Taft, McKinley, LBJ, Polk, John Adams, John Quincy, Arthur, Taylor, Truman, Nixon, Reagan, Grant, H.W. Bush, Clinton, Grover Cleveland, Obama, Herbert Hoover, Hayes, Harrison, Ford, Wilson, Harding, Fillmore, Jackson, Carter, Buren, Trump, Pierce, Tyler, Johnson, Buchanan, Bush, Buchanan. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Fuck that shit. Kind of.
Yeah, seriously.
I know. It's such a hot mess to rank that. Okay. All right. Well,
It is, yeah.
I think that'll be it. Hopefully anyone who stayed around to watch like the actual like individual ranking there, which is totally not. I actually like the way we ranked it better instead of doing it in order, because that's
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
so hard to rank those guys like in a numerical order like that.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
so too many variables. Well, that's it for this series actually. So a 3-part series of the United States presidents ranked in damn. I think that was 6 hours, 7 hours of footage.
Yeah, I think so. Dang.
Dear God, help us. Okay.
It probably could have been more too. That's the crazy
That's
thing.
scary.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be all for today.
Yeah, I think that'll do it.
Once again, thank you guys for watching. I believe we're gonna try to do maybe a vice presidents or failed presidents tier list here soon.
Yeah, that'd be
if
sweet.
you guys enjoyed, hit the like button, and please, I implore you to comment. If you guys watch till the end, please comment your opinions, because honestly,
Even if they're hot takes, because I want to hear it.
please, I want to see the comments. All right, thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.